Chapter 32:10. Robbers were a taboo on the Eternal Emperor Road. Robbers were known as the puppets of the Heavenly Tao. They were also disasters left behind by the Heavenly Tao to hunt trial challengers and steal their origin Tao fruit. They were feared by countless trial challengers. Therefore, on the Eternal Emperor's Road, as long as a robber appeared, everyone would want to beat him up and make him the enemy of the entire world. At this moment, everyone was more willing to believe in the guardian and flower-pinching prince. Therefore, they were certain that Ling Xiao was a robber. Everyone, Ling Xiao is strong, but we have so many people. Why should we be afraid of him? He has been trapped by my million-flower origin formation and can't escape. Everyone, let's kill Ling Xiao and avenge the guardian. The flower-pinching prince smiled faintly, then retreated into the crowd without leaving a trace. He pointed at Ling Xiao, who was in front of him. That's right. Everyone, let's go. Kill Ling Xiao, kill the robber. Avenge the guardian and enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. The trial challenger's eyes were incomparably cold and murderous. Whether it was the identity of a robber or the temptation of inheriting the guardian's treasures after killing him, they were all tempted. Boom. It was unknown who made the first move. A sharp saber light cut across the void and slashed at Ling Xiao. The trial challenger's eyes were bloodshot. The greed and murderous intent in their hearts overpowered their fear of Ling Xiao. They all attacked. Streaks of blazing light streaked across the sky. The resplendent light beams contained a murderous intent that could pierce through everything. They surged over violently. Flower-pinching Prince's words gave everyone great confidence. The current Ling Xiao was like a live target to them. There was no way for him to escape or dodge. He could only passively block their attacks. Within the million-flower origin formation, dazzling flower petals rose. They were enshrouded in a mysterious light and trapped Ling Xiao within. However, the crowd's attacks seemed to have no effect on the million-flower origin formation. They passed through the formation unscathed and enveloped Ling Xiao. The 10,000-flower origin formation only trapped Ling Xiao within the formation and prevented him from escaping. It did not affect the attacks from the outside. This was a formation that allowed entry but not exit. Ah, what a joke. I don't care if you want to avenge young Kongzi or not, but you shouldn't have offended me. I'm a very vengeful person. Ling Xiao laughed, his eyes filled with a blazing sharpness. He gazed deeply at the distant flower-pinching prince, his body erupting with battle intent. Rumble. Chaotic light gushed out from his body. Purple qi rose, vast and mighty. It was as if the scene of 3,000 worlds appeared behind him. Endless chaotic qi rose and formed a chaotic giant bell above his head. It was intertwined with Tao and logos and emitted an immortal light. Everyone's attacks instantly landed on the bell of chaos. Wang. The bell of primal chaos hummed as if it was material. Runes interweaved and were suffused with the aura of the source of the great Tao, and it dissolved all the attacks. This was a supreme defensive ability that Ling Xiao had comprehended after his physical body had become extremely strong. He called it the Bell of Chaos. In the past, no one could force him to use the Bell of Chaos. After all, his physical body was immortal. Even an extreme Tao Emperor weapon could not destroy it. However, there were hundreds and thousands of trial takers in front of him. Every one of them was a powerful genius. Their attacks were ferocious and overbearing, like a destructive torrent. It was extremely terrifying. With so many trial takers attacking at the same time, not to mention ordinary imperial emperors, even a peerless imperial emperor would find it difficult to resist. Wang, Wang, Wang. The bell of chaos hummed and intertwined with the light of order, annihilating all the attacks that were surging toward him. Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably sharp. An invincible aura surrounded his body as he strode forward with majestic steps. Crack. Blazing lightning intertwined on his fist. It was as vast as the heavenly might. At the same time, the heaven-devouring fire appeared. The flames burned everything and were incomparably fierce. He threw out a punch. It was as if the heavenly punishment was destroying the world. Mighty lightning and flames poured down, surging toward the petals in the surroundings. In Ling Xiao's eyes, the eye of the ruler shone with a strange light. It could see through the formation before him. The thousand-flower origin formation was actually formed from the great Tao's origin. The flowers intertwined with each other and grew endlessly. They constantly absorbed the energy in the chaos to reach an immortal state. The thousand-flower origin formation was indeed incomparably mysterious. If Ling Xiao did not have the eye of the ruler, it would not be so easy to break the formation. However, the eye of the ruler could see through the formation. It also allowed Ling Xiao to see the intertwining nodes of the formation. Those were the most crucial points. Rumble. His fist was unparalleled. Lightning and flames were the most violent forces. In an instant, it blasted on the thousand-flower origin formation. The petals collapsed and the intertwining nodes were instantly reduced to nothingness. Before the thousand-flower origin formation could produce new petals, Ling Xiao took a step forward and used a secret teleportation technique. In an instant, he left the thousand-flower origin formation. What? Everyone's expression changed. They did not expect Ling Xiao to leave the thousand-flower origin formation so quickly. Most importantly, the bell of chaos around Ling Xiao was immortal and indestructible. Like an ultimate emperor weapon, it blocked everyone's attacks and prevented them from causing any harm to Ling Xiao. He actually condensed so many great Dao origins. Lightning origin, flame origin, teleportation origin, and even devour origin. Is he also a robber? In the distance, flower-pinching Prince did not make a move. He looked at Ling Xiao with a trace of uncertainty in his eyes. Ling Xiao in front of him seemed to have exceeded his expectations. So many great Dao origins, and all of them seemed to have reached the level of perfection. If I obtain this boy's secret, what use would I have for the 10,000 spirits bloodfiend tree? Flower-pinching Prince thought to himself. A blazing light appeared in his eyes. Fellow Taoists, Ling Xiao has been exposed. He has lightning origin, flame origin, and teleportation origin on him. With so many origins, what else can he be if not a robber? Flower-pinching Prince pointed at Ling Xiao and said loudly. Everyone shuddered, and the murderous intent in their eyes burned even brighter. Ling Xiao's punch had not been concealed at all, allowing them to clearly see the origin of thunder and origin of flame erupting from Ling Xiao's body. In addition to the origin of teleportation that Ling Xiao had displayed, there were 3 origin of great ways. How could an ordinary trial taker condense so many great Dao origins? This Ling Xiao was definitely a robber without a doubt. Chapter 32:11. Flower-pinching child is right. Ling Xiao is a robber. Ling Xiao, you've already been exposed. What else is there to say? We must kill him today and avenge the guardian. Kill. 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 Everyone's eyes were bloodshot as killing intent surged around them. Hearing the words robber, they felt a chill run down their spines. They were extremely fearful and had to kill Ling Xiao. Robber? So what if I become a robber today? Ling Xiao sneered and punched out. Boom. Chaotic light swept across the surroundings. His fist was extremely ferocious. It was like a chaotic divine mountain that came crashing down from the heavens. A few trial takers with lower cultivations could not dodge in time, and were instantly blasted apart by Ling Xiao's punch. They exploded into a bloody mist in the void. Ling Xiao's expression was extremely cold. His finger was like a sword, and the light from his finger was dazzling. It was like a long river of time that pierced over instantly. Is that the time origin? That's the 4th origin. Robber Ling Xiao. A high-level imperial emperor roared furiously. His eyes were filled with incomparable fear. Ling Xiao's finger was aimed at the space between his eyebrows. He wanted to dodge, but he felt as if his entire body was frozen, bound by the power of time. He could only watch as the finger pierced through the void and buried time, piercing into his glabella. Puff. Blood filled the air as his glabella exploded and his consciousness shattered. His indestructible primordial spirit did not have a chance to escape at all. It was destroyed by Ling Xiao's finger. Whoosh. A blood-stained origin Dao fruit was directly gouged out by Ling Xiao's finger. It flashed with dazzling light and flew to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao licked his blood-stained fingers. His eyes were cold as he merged the origin Dao fruit into his sea of consciousness in front of everyone. He's a robber indeed. He's a robber. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock and anger. They surrounded Ling Xiao, but they were also filled with fear. The Ling Xiao before his eyes was simply overflowing with ferocious flames. his devilish might unparalleled. As a Dao robber, he was the enemy of the entire world. Yet he still dared to act so viciously, killing trial takers one after another, and even trying to refine the essence Dao fruit in front of everyone. This was a blatant provocation and disregard. Everyone was infuriated by Ling Xiao's actions. Rumble. Those powerful challengers' eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. They could tell that Ling Xiao was strong, so they didn't fight him alone. Instead, they formed a battle formation and attacked Ling Xiao together. Under Petalpluck Prince's command, the weaker challengers set up a powerful formation around the perimeter, trapping Ling Xiao and preventing him from escaping. Everyone, don't be afraid. He's alone. How long can he last? With so many of us, we'll exhaust him to death even if we have to. That's right. We must kill this bastard today and enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Everyone, listen to Flower-Pinching Prince's orders. Concentrate on your advantage and kill him. A few of the more powerful challengers shouted angrily. They were powerful and were all leaders of small factions. Their cultivations had also reached the high-level Imperial Emperor realm. Their eyes were filled with killing intent and greed as they looked at Ling Xiao. Even though Ling Xiao looked powerful and undefeatable, Lin Feng was confident that he would be able to defeat him. However, if they could kill Ling Xiao, they would reap a great harvest. Not only would they be able to inherit Yang Kongzi's treasures and obtain the Heavenly Dao seal, but they would also be blessed by the Heavenly Dao providence. It would be very beneficial for them on their eternal Emperor's road. Dao robbers all had Heavenly Dao providence on them. If they killed a robber, they would be able to inherit the Heavenly Dao providence on them. Therefore, in everyone's eyes, Ling Xiao was a moving treasure trove. Everyone was determined to kill him. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Under Flower-Pinching Prince's command, everyone's attacks gradually became more targeted. They constantly attacked Ling Xiao's vital points. A few of the more powerful challengers wielded Apex Emperor weapons. As the main force, they took out their Apex Emperor weapons and attacked the Bell of Chaos above Ling Xiao's head, trying to break through his defense. The challengers on the periphery formed a large formation to prevent Ling Xiao from escaping. They had made up their minds to exhaust Ling Xiao to death. After all, even a peerless Imperial Emperor would find it difficult to withstand such a high-intensity battle, let alone Ling Xiao, who was only a fifth heaven Imperial Emperor. Ling Xiao, I think we should escape first. These guys are crazy. They must kill you. Let's leave this place first and find a chance to take revenge. Fatty Little Black wretchedly turned into a black bracelet and attached itself to Ling Xiao's wrist. At this moment, he was trembling with fear as he transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. The attacks of the challengers made his scalp tingle. This level of attack contained destructive power. He did not doubt that if he was alone, he would not be able to withstand a single round of attacks. He would be killed by the challengers. They are just a bunch of mobs. If there were a peerless Imperial Emperor, I might be afraid. But with just them? Ling Xiao sneered. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. The Eternal Emperor Road was cruel and merciless. Even if you did not kill, others would still kill you. Just like the trial takers who had been bewitched by the flower-plucking child. They did not know that Ling Xiao was their savior to some extent. If Ling Xiao had not killed Yang Kongzi, many of them would have become the puppets of the 10,000 spirits blood demon tree in this trial. They did not know that, and wanted to kill Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao did not regret killing Yang Kongzi, but he would not show mercy. This group of trial challengers who had been blinded by greed and anger had their own ways of seeking their own deaths. Rumble. Ling Xiao weaved through the void, his fist imprints unparalleled. Every punch was mighty, as if the Milky Way was pouring down. It was extremely ferocious and overbearing, and no one could withstand his punch. He seemed to have given up on defense and was purely focused on killing. The chaotic fist seals destroyed everything and reaped lives. But the attacks of the challengers were too fierce. Like a windstorm, it swept across the entire area. The Extreme Dao Emperor weapon destroyed everything and slammed into the Bell of Primordial Chaos. The Bell of Primordial Chaos trembled unceasingly. The runes were destroyed and the radiance dimmed. Crack. In the end, the Bell of Chaos could not withstand such a fierce attack. It let out a crisp sound and shattered. His tortoise shell has been shattered. Kill him. The challengers were invigorated. They roared and charged at Ling Xiao. Rumble. Blazing light surged over as all kinds of powerful weapons, divine abilities, and secret techniques rained down on Ling Xiao as if they were free of charge. A strange light flashed in the eyes of flower-pinching Prince. He flicked his finger, and a black needle as thin as an ox's hair appeared. In an instant, it blended into the light that filled the sky and silently flew toward Ling Xiao. Chapter 32:12. Rumble. Ling Xiao was bathed in blood as he charged forward. Bloody light shone from his body and a murderous aura filled the sky. Bloody wounds appeared on his body, and some of them were so deep that his bones could be seen. However, his eyes were still bright and filled with a strong fighting spirit. With a casual punch, the chaotic fist print was like a mountain as it swept away a group of trial challengers. After all, these challengers were all geniuses of their respective worlds. Each one of them possessed extraordinary battle prowess. Although they didn't seem to pose much of a threat to Ling Xiao individually, under Petalpluck Prince's command, they formed a formidable fighting force that doubled the pressure on Ling Xiao. After his bell of chaos was broken, he was inevitably caught in the sea of attacks from the trial challengers. In particular, there were a few powerful extreme emperor weapons that posed a significant threat to Ling Xiao. Although Ling Xiao's physical body was strong, it could not withstand such a level of attack. Two fists could not fight against four hands, and he was inevitably injured. Those scars looked hideous and terrifying, but they were all superficial wounds and did not cause much harm to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's fists were like dragons, unstoppable and unstoppable. Even when facing an extreme Dao Emperor weapon, he dared to take it head-on with his fists. Swoosh! However, at that moment, a black radiance silently approached Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao immediately became alert, and a sense of danger rose in his heart. He threw out a palm and lightning and flames circled around his palm. He wanted to completely destroy the black radiance. However, the black radiance was extremely strange. It instantly pierced through the lightning and flames, and pierced into Ling Xiao's palm. Boom! The moment the black radiance entered Ling Xiao's palm, it instantly exploded. It was like a black sea that instantly surged toward Ling Xiao. It was vast and contained a power that could imprison everything. Ling Xiao felt that his physical body had become extremely stiff and his movements were sluggish. It was as if even his thoughts were affected. In an instant, the black sea covered Ling Xiao's entire body and surged toward Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness between his eyebrows. Oh no! Master, this is the Black Death God Needle, a supreme weapon refined from the resentment of a great emperor. Although it can only be used once, its power is comparable to the power of a great emperor. Once it enters your sea of consciousness, you will be doomed eternally. At this moment, the evil spirit's voice rang out in Ling Xiao's consciousness, containing endless waves of fear. Black Death God Needle? Ling Xiao's entire body trembled, and his eyes were filled with incomparable shock. He had also heard of the Black Death God Needle. It was a legendary killing weapon that was extremely vicious. The Black Death Divine Needle was refined with the resentment of the great monarch, and it had been nurtured for countless years. It was a needle-shaped treasure that could pierce through everything, destroy all life, and destroy the indestructible Yuan spirit of living beings. It could be said that even if a peerless monarch was hit by the Black Death God Needle, if it invaded his sea of consciousness, he would instantly die. Just who was this Petalpluck Prince? How did he have the Black Death God Needle? Ling Xiao did not have time to think. The Black Death God Needle had already spread throughout his entire body, causing him to become extremely stiff and slow. It was as if he had been sealed in ice. That strange black light surged towards his sea of consciousness between his eyebrows like a tide. Devour origin, devour. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a sharp light as he activated the Devour Origin, wanting to devour the strange black light. However, to his shock, the Devour Origin could not do anything to the Black Death God Needle. Moreover, after coming into contact with the Black Death God Needle, Ling Xiao's Devour Origin Dao fruit instantly dimmed, showing signs of collapsing. To be able to cause the Origin Dao fruit to collapse, the Black Death God Needle was indeed incomparably vicious. Ling Xiao hurriedly activated the wordless heavenly book and the fortune jade disc. These two chaos treasures simultaneously released a mysterious light that enveloped Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. The Black Death God Needle entered Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, but before it could surge toward his indestructible Yuan spirit, the wordless heavenly book emitted a vast and holy light. Under the illumination of this light, the Black Death God Needle actually began to melt like ice. Ling Xiao, let's see how you can survive my Black Death God Needle. The Petal Pluck Prince sneered. Rumble. As the black light enveloped Ling Xiao, his body stiffened as if he'd been sealed. He instantly became a live target for all the trial takers. Beams of blazing light enveloped Ling Xiao, and powerful attacks were aimed at the vital points of Ling Xiao's body. His entire body was engulfed. Blood filled the air as Ling Xiao was severely injured. He flew into the air like a small boat in the terrifying storm of destruction, about to capsize at any moment. The trial takers were also invigorated. They all exploded with their greatest strength and charged at Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao's entire body was a bloody mess. He looked extremely wretched. Suddenly, a sacred and vast light bloomed from Ling Xiao's body and swept out in a mighty wave. Like the warm sun in winter, the Black Death God needles that enveloped Ling Xiao melted like snow and completely disappeared. Ling Xiao suddenly opened his eyes. Blazing light pierced the void like two peerless divine swords. Sword light filled the sky and instantly pierced the forehead of a trial taker, completely destroying his indestructible Yuan spirit. The Petal Pluck Prince? Do you only know how to sneak up on people from behind? Come out and fight me if you're capable. Ling Xiao suddenly looked at the Petal Pluck Prince, his eyes filled with undisguised killing intent. Rumble. He walked with majestic majesty as chaotic light rose around him. It was as if he could push the sun, the moon, and the stars as he moved. His fists were unparalleled and sent the trial takers charging at him flying. None of the people in front of him could withstand a single blow from him. He walked towards the Petal Pluck Prince, his eyes incomparably cold and filled with killing intent. He can actually block the Black Death God Needle? He must have a chaos treasure on him. A chaos treasure. The Petal Pluck Prince's body shook, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Then he seemed to have thought of something and his eyes revealed an incomparably greedy look. An Apex Emperor weapon would definitely not be able to block the Black Death God Needle. The only thing that could block the Black Death God Needle was the legendary Chaos Treasure. He didn't expect Ling Xiao to have a Chaos Treasure on him. The current Ling Xiao was like a treasure to the Petal Pluck Prince. This made the Petal Pluck Prince's killing intent towards Ling Xiao even more intense. Ling Xiao, you think you can fight the Petal Pluck Prince? Don't overestimate yourselves. Come out first and talk later. A guard commander in black armor next to the Petal Pluck Prince said with an indifferent expression. Ling Xiao, you're really stubborn. As a robber, you must die today. The Petal Pluck Prince sighed softly. Chapter 32:13. Kill. Murderous intent surged in the surroundings like a tsunami as the crowd charged towards Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was bathed in blood as his battle intent soared to the extreme. He did not show any mercy as he killed all the challengers who stood in his way. Rumble. However, at that moment, the void trembled as a dazzling sword light that contained a majestic aura of life slashed down towards the crowd like a heavenly river. The heavenly river rolled back as chaos rose. The sword broke the chaos apart and was extremely sharp as it split the heavens and the earth into two. How dare you attack my big brother? Die all of you! At the same time, a cold and domineering voice sounded as a huge blade slashed down. The slash was ferocious and overbearing. At the same time, it contained an aura of endless darkness. When the slash came down, it was as if an infernal hell was coming down on everyone. Everyone could not help but feel their hearts tremble. Their eyes were filled with incomparable horror. Avicii Hell's demon burial blade. Ji Feishuan and Ba Dao had arrived. Ji Feishuan's white robe fluttered in the wind as she exuded an otherworldly aura. Her beautiful face was incomparably cold as her eyes were enshrouded in a mysterious brilliance. She was like a peerless empress who had descended to the mortal world. Ba Dao was dressed in black as he held a battle blade in his hand. Blade intent surged around him as his eyes were filled with monstrous murderous intent. Moreover, he had used the forbidden blade as soon as he attacked. Rumble. Ji Feishuan's sword light was resplendent and bright like a long river of life that grew and multiplied endlessly. But it instantly took away the lives of dozens of trial takers and beheaded them. The power of Ba Dao's forbidden blade was extremely terrifying as it caught the challengers off guard. Similarly, dozens of challengers were directly slashed into pieces by Ba Dao as they exploded in the void. In the void, blood mist filled the air as a murderous aura rose. It was like a Jura hell. Everyone was shocked. What? The flower-plucking prince's expression changed completely. He did not expect that someone would come to Ling Zhao's aid at this moment. Ji Feishuan was a true peerless imperial emperor with unfathomable strength. Even the flower-plucking prince felt a strong threat from her. Although Ba Dao looked like a 7th-level imperial lord, his taboo blade actually possessed a combat strength comparable to a peerless imperial lord. Although the taboo blade wasn't aimed at Petalpluck Prince, it still struck fear into his heart. Kill. Killing intent surged in Ling Zhao's eyes as he clashed with Ji Feishuan's and Ba Dao's gazes. In the blink of an eye, he charged towards flower-pinching Prince. Rumble. Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, and Ba Dao were like 3 peerless divine weapons that stabbed into the torrent before them. The powerful offensive organized by flower-pinching Prince was instantly disintegrated. Under the attacks of the 3 supreme experts who had the battle prowess of a peerless imperial emperor, the trial takers wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves. Their eyes were filled with incomparable fear. Many of the trial takers had suffered heavy casualties, and their fighting spirit was gradually fading. Seeing that Ling Xiao was becoming more and more courageous as the battle went on, without any signs of exhaustion, they were about to lose all hope. Some of the trial takers chose to flee the battlefield. Soon the encirclement against Ling Xiao was completely destroyed. As for flower-pinching Prince, he was incomparably decisive. When Ji Feishuan and Ba Dao charged towards him, he instantly teleported away. He knew that he wouldn't be able to kill Ling Xiao today. If he continued to stay here, he might be in great trouble. You want to leave? Don't get caught up in the battle. Go after flower-pinching Prince. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he coldly shouted. Rumble. He punched out, and the primal chaos fist mark was like a mountain, smashing a group of trial takers into meat paste. He leaped into the sky and chased after flower-pinching Prince. Go after him. Ji Feishuan and Ba Dao chased after him at the same time, their eyes filled with killing intent. Flower-pinching Prince was the main culprit. As for the group of foolish trial takers, they had been used and suffered heavy casualties. Who would dare to chase after Ling Xiao now? Everyone fled in all directions, wanting to leave the mountain sea great marsh. It was too terrifying. Not only was Ling Xiao powerful, but he also had 2 companions who possessed battle prowess comparable to a supreme imperial emperor. Without flower-pinching Prince, they were no match for him at all. This intense battle even caused the powerful beasts to flee in all directions, not daring to get close. The entire mountain sea great marsh was in chaos. Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, and Ba Dao chased after flower-pinching Prince into the depths of the mountain sea great marsh. He doesn't want to leave the mountain sea great marsh and return to Kunping Imperial City? Ling Xiao was puzzled. Although Ling Xiao was flying at full speed, his speed was only comparable to flower-pinching Prince's. He wouldn't be able to catch up to flower-pinching Prince in a short time. Flower-pinching Prince was extremely fast. He stepped on the void, traversing thousands of miles in an instant. He looked extraordinary. Although he was fleeing, he didn't seem to be in a sorry state at all. His target was very clear. It was somewhere in the mountain sea great marsh. Could it be that he's plotting something? Ling Xiao thought to himself. Flower-pinching Prince was very scheming. He wouldn't be caught so easily. Ling Xiao, you've already escaped. Why are you still chasing after me? Why don't we settle our grudges and go our separate ways? What do you think? Flower-pinching Prince smiled faintly at Ling Xiao as he flew. Settle our grudges? Once I kill you, we'll naturally settle our grudges. Ling Xiao sneered. Kill me? Ling Xiao, you're overestimating yourself. Don't blame me for not warning you when you're in a desperate situation. Flower-pinching Prince smiled faintly. Is that so? What tricks do you have? Feel free to use them. I'll take them on. Ling Xiao said coldly. Soon an undulating mountain range appeared in front of them. It was shrouded in black clouds and was extremely quiet. It emitted an extremely eerie aura that made one's hair stand on end. Ling Xiao, if you're not afraid of death, then come in. Flower-pinching Prince smiled faintly at Ling Xiao. Then he took a step forward and instantly entered the mountain range, disappearing into the black clouds. What is this place? Why is it so eerie? Ba Dao's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. The three of them stopped in front of the black clouds. This place isn't simple. I can feel an extremely strong Great Emperor's resentment. A Great Emperor once fell here. Ji Feishuan's eyes flickered with a strange light as she spoke with a grave expression. Great Emperor's resentment? Could it be that flower-pinching Prince obtained the Black Death God Needle from here? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat as he thought of the Black Death God Needle. Ji Feishuan's state was extremely strange. She was inextricably linked to the Life Empress. If she said that there was a Great Emperor's resentment here, then a Great Emperor must have fallen here. However, it was fine if a Great Emperor had fallen here. But to produce such a strong resentment, how did that Great Emperor fall? Thinking of this, the eerie and silent mountain range in front of him made Ling Zhao's hair stand on end. Chapter 32:14. Big Brother, should we chase after them? Ba Dao asked Ling Xiao. Chase. The flower-plucking prince might be a robber, and the Black Death Needle that he used to attack me might be related to this place. There might be a Great Emperor buried in this place. Ling Xiao said after pondering for a moment. A trace of curiosity rose in his heart. Great Emperors were invincible existences that swept across the heavens. Every single one of them was a peerless talent that had once dominated an era. Anything that could be related to a Great Emperor was not simple. Ling Xiao wanted to see what kind of existence was in this area. Moreover, what kind of existence could make a Great Emperor feel such strong resentment? A robber? That pretty boy, I've always found him an eyesore. I didn't expect him to call me a thief. Damn it. Ba Dao said coldly. Don't be careless. Ling Xiao, even if we chase after them, we have to be careful. This area is not simple. Ji Feishuan said solemnly. That's right. You guys have to be careful. Let's go. Ling Xiao nodded. Then he took a step forward and entered the black clouds. Boom. A desolate, ancient, decaying and cold aura rushed towards them. It was as though they had entered a foreign world. Ling Zhao's hair stood on end, and he was on high alert. In front of him was a mountain range that stretched for millions of miles. The mountain range was majestic and majestic. There were countless black plants on the mountain range, but they did not emit any vitality. Instead, they were filled with a deathly aura. It was extremely strange. The surroundings were extremely quiet. There was no sound at all. Ling Xiao could even hear his own heartbeat. Strange. Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, and Ba Dao felt an extremely strange atmosphere, causing them to become even more vigilant. I seem to feel a familiar aura in front. Ba Dao's eyes revealed a trace of confusion as he spoke slowly. A familiar aura? Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan were surprised. Could it be that Ba Dao's clansmen are in this area? They retracted their auras and flew forward carefully. The surroundings were extremely quiet, and there were no living beings. When they flew past the mountain, they saw that the black plants were extremely quiet. There was not even the sound of wind, and they did not feel any danger. However, the strange atmosphere was getting stronger and stronger. They flew into the depths of the clouds and carefully observed their surroundings. Although their speed was not fast, they still flew for hundreds of thousands of miles. It was as if nothing had ever happened. However, the black mist in front of him became thicker and thicker. In the end, it was like ink, so thick that it could not be dispersed. That familiar feeling is getting stronger and stronger. Big Brother. I can feel that there's something behind the black clouds that's related to me. Ba Dao said slowly. Everyone be careful. Ling Zhao's gaze was sharp, and there was a strong sense of danger in his heart. But since he had already come here, it was impossible to turn back. After exchanging glances with Ji Feishuan, he instantly charged into the pitch-black clouds. Crack. It was as if there was a flash of lightning, but also as if the void was being destroyed. Ling Xiao felt that his entire body was enveloped by a thick black fog. Within the black fog, There were traces of anger and resentment that wanted to surge into his body. Boom! Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by lightning and flames. The evil spirit and resentment were instantly refined and dispersed by him. In front of Ling Xiao, the void distorted and the black fog gradually dispersed, revealing a mysterious world. Clang! However, before Ling Xiao could take a closer look at the mysterious world, a dazzling light bloomed in front of him. In an instant, it was as bright as day. A heaven-piercing saber radiance slashed towards him. The mighty saber radiance was wrapped in an unparalleled saber intent. It was ancient, eternal, immortal, indestructible. It was an extremely strong and invincible aura. Within the saber radiance, Ling Xiao could vaguely see a mysterious figure surrounded by endless saber radiance. As the saber radiance flickered, it opened up a boundless world. Great Emperor's saber intent. Ling Xiao's body trembled. Without hesitation, the blood in his body surged and chaotic light bloomed as he threw out a punch. Boom! The unparalleled fist print collided with the saber radiance. In an instant, there was a roar that sounded like a tsunami. The surrounding void shook and the heavens and earth seemed to be on the verge of shattering. Although Ling Xiao had blocked the saber radiance, the surging saber intent in the surroundings was like a saber radiance. It wanted to break his physical body apart, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Crack! In the end, the saber radiance shattered and Ling Xiao rushed out of the black fog. However, there was a deep wound on the back of his hand. One could even see the purple bone in it. If Ling Xiao did not have the imperishable bones, the saber radiance would have severed his arm and split him into two. Great Emperor's saber intent. Is this the power of a great emperor? Ling Xiao muttered to himself. He suppressed the boiling blood in his body, and a dazzling radiance flashed in his eyes. In front of him was a gray world. Vast. Vast. However, in front of Ling Xiao, there was a black saber radiance that pierced through the heavens and earth. It was as though it had split the world into two. The saber radiance had been condensed in the void for an unknown number of years. However, it still did not dissipate. Ancient, mysterious, domineering, majestic, violent, tragic. The terrifying aura that was hidden in the black saber radiance caused one's heart to palpitate. The saber radiance that Ling Xiao had shattered just now was emitted from the black saber radiance. It was as though it was protecting this world. Ji Feishuan was also blocked by the saber radiance. She released a stream of life sword qi. It was like a surging river that intertwined with the saber radiance. In the end, both of them were annihilated. Following behind Ling Xiao, she also saw the black saber radiance in front of her. However, to Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan's surprise, the black saber radiance did not attack Ba Dao. At this moment, Ba Dao's eyes were filled with a strange radiance. His body trembled slightly as he walked towards the black saber radiance. His current state was very strange. His face was neither happy nor sad, and his body was somewhat stiff. He looked like a marionette that was being pulled forward by a mysterious force. Ba Dao. Ji Feishuan wanted to say something. Shoo. He shouldn't be in any danger. Let's wait and see. Ling Xiao stopped Ji Feishuan and said softly. Ba Dao walked towards the black saber radiance. Buzz. The black saber radiance began to hum as a pure saber intent spread out. At the same time, saber intent rose from Ba Dao's body and resonated with it. Chapter 32:15. Rumble. The void trembled and distorted as the saber radiance surged and emitted a thunderous sound. That boundless saber will spread out in all directions like a vast ocean, as if it could destroy everything. What is that? Ji Feishuan's eyes flickered as she asked softly. The saber intent was distorted and the light was blazing. A strange scene could be vaguely seen. A figure that was surrounded by chaos held a bloodstained saber in his hand. The Emperor's aura was vast and mighty, giving him an invincible aura. He held his saber and roared as blood dripped from his eyes. He was filled with unwillingness, anger, fear, and even pain. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky as the origin of the great Tao intertwined with each other, and emitted a vast heavenly might. Destructive light beams shot towards him continuously. He held his saber, and the saber intent around him rose. The saber radiance swept across the void, and every slash seemed to be able to open up a great thousand world. Every slash could annihilate billions of living beings. That extremely strong saber was vast and mighty. Its might was unparalleled as it continued to battle with the existence in the sky. Although they knew that it was some kind of seal, the vast and terrifying saber intent still made Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan's hearts palpitate. This person should be a great emperor, who has comprehended the saber great Tao. He can be called the Saber Emperor. Ji Feishuan said softly. Is that the tyrannical emperor slash? It has the same origin as the tyrannical saber. Could he be a great emperor from the same clan as the tyrannical saber? He is holding his saber and fighting the heavens. Who is the existence in the sky? Ling Xiao said slowly as his eyes were filled with shock and doubt. The scene in front of him was too shocking. A supreme great emperor holding his saber and fighting the heavens, bathed in blood, let out a roar of despair and unwillingness. However, the existence in the sky did not even show his figure. Ling Xiao could not imagine what the existence in the sky was. Is that the heavenly Tao? Ji Feishuan said softly. Her voice was like a clap of thunder, causing Ling Xiao's body to involuntarily tremble. Heavenly Tao. Or should I say it's a fake heavenly Tao? Ling Xiao's eyes were extremely sharp. His dominator's eyes shone with dazzling light. It was as if he wanted to illuminate the space before him and see through everything. The scene formed by the surging saber intent was extremely messy and incomplete. It was like a fleeting glimpse. Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan could not clearly see the powerful ultimacy and great Tao origin displayed by the great emperor wielding his saber and fighting against the heavens. In the end, Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan saw 4 dazzling beams of light shooting out from the sky like divine chains of order, instantly enveloping the great emperor. Then Ling Xiao saw the great emperor's physical body slowly shatter. His primordial spirit began to fade into nothingness. The source of the great Tao in his body began to disappear. Even his great Tao heart emitted a crisp sound. Hate, 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 hate. The great emperor let out an earth-shattering roar as though he was scolding something, but Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan did not hear it clearly. All they could hear was the word hate. In the end, the great emperor's body shone with 9-colored divine light. His entire body suddenly exploded and completely disappeared from the world. The scene in the void also began to shatter slowly. In the end, it transformed into a surging saber intent once again. Within it, there was a surge of resentment that would never dissipate. It was the resentment of a great emperor. What is he hating? Who is the existence that shot out the 4 beams of light? How can he kill a great emperor directly? Ji Feishuan's face was a little pale. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. At this moment, Ling Xiao's heart was in turmoil. Chaos, destiny, karma, reincarnation. Who is that existence? How can he possess these 4 great Tao origins? Ling Xiao's heart trembled as he thought to himself. The 4 beams of light descended like divine chains of order, and directly killed a great emperor. Although it was only a glimpse, Ling Xiao instantly felt the great Tao true intent within the beams of light. Chaos, destiny, karma, reincarnation. These were the 4 supreme great Tao energy. However, the great Tao origin within the 4 beams of light was more than 1,000 times more powerful than the origin Tao fruit in Ling Xiao's body. An invincible great emperor had fallen in front of him just like that. The impact on him was unimaginable. Great emperors were said to be invincible across the universe. They had suppressed an era and represented an invincible existence. However, the great emperor in front of him had been killed as if he was no different from an ordinary living being. Ba Dao, who was enveloped by the saber intent, had tears flowing from his eyes. Rumble. The black saber light seemed to have sensed the familiar aura on Ba Dao's body. It instantly turned into a stream of light and merged into Ba Dao's body. Ba Dao's aura surged as his saber intent swept across. The saber intent seemed to have been tempered 1,000 times and became purer. His aura also began to skyrocket. If I'm not wrong, this great emperor should be the Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor, right? I didn't expect the peerless great emperor of the Sky Saber tribe to fall here. Ling Xiao sighed softly in his heart. Ba Dao was the successor of the Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor. The Sky Saber tribe was famous because of the Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor. Therefore, it was not difficult to guess the true identity of the figure. The Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor? However, I don't know who killed him, Ji Feishuan said slowly. At this moment, Ba Dao's face was covered in tears. Rumble. In the end, the black saber light completely merged into Ba Dao's body. Ba Dao suddenly opened his eyes. Two blazing beams of light shot out like a peerless saber light, and instantly tore open the void. Although his cultivation did not increase, his aura became even more unfathomable. Ba Dao, are you alright? Ling Xiao asked Ba Dao. Big brother, I'm fine. I didn't expect the ancestor to fall here. My Sky Saber tribe has been searching for the ancestor for countless years, but we couldn't find any trace of him. Ba Dao's eyes were red as he said slowly. He was the only successor of the Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor. Although the Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor had fallen, the legacy that he had left in the Sky Saber tribe had fallen into Ba Dao's hands. To Ba Dao, the Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor had a special meaning. Looking at the boundless saber intent, the Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor seemed to have died in front of him. Ba Dao's heart was filled with anger and sorrow. My condolences. The person who killed the Sky Hegemon Saber Emperor is not simple. Ling Xiao patted Ba Dao's shoulder and said, I understand. Big brother, don't worry. I won't act rashly. When I become an emperor, I will seek justice for the ancestor. Ba Dao's eyes were sharp as he looked deep into the sky. Chapter 32:16. That's strange. Did Petalpluck Prince lure us here to kill us with the help of this saber radiance? Where is he hiding? Ji Feishuan asked curiously. I know where he is, Ba Dao said slowly. There was a strong killing intent in his eyes. He was sure that Petalpluck Prince had used Hegemon Blade Emperor's resentment to refine the Black Death Needle. This made Ba Dao want to kill Petalpluck Prince even more. I also want to see what he's relying on to deal with us. Ling Zhao's eyes also revealed a trace of curiosity. Ba Dao soared into the sky and flew forward while Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan followed closely behind. Fatty Blackie had been kept in Ling Zhao's small world. In this strange place, Fatty Blackie's cultivation was still too weak. Although he was unwilling, he had no choice but to listen to Ling Xiao. Ba Dao seemed to be certain of Petalpluck Prince's location as he moved forward with a clear goal in mind. Rumble. Ling Xiao heard a rumbling sound in front of him. It sounded like thunder, but also like the surging sea. It was majestic and vast. In the beginning, the sound was not loud. However, as they got closer, the powerful sound waves swept over and caused their bodies to tremble. That's a heavenly river? Ji Feishuan's eyes flashed as she said in surprise. After flying over a huge mountain, the scene before them suddenly opened up. A vast heavenly river appeared in the void in front of Ling Xiao and the other two. The heavenly river surged with huge waves and was filled with chaotic energy. It came from the depths of the endless chaos and led to an unknown region. Just like that, the heavenly river suddenly appeared in front of them. The heavenly river was vast and boundless. It was tens of millions of miles wide and long. Standing before the heavenly river, Ling Xiao and the other two felt extremely small. This is the underworld sacred river? Ling Xiao's body shook as his eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. The heavenly river in front of them was filled with chaotic energy. It looked a little yellow and contained a dense deathly energy. It was as though it came from hell and had no vitality. In the heavenly river, huge waves surged into the sky, sweeping through the sky. The void was distorted, and some incomparably strange scenes appeared. There was the blood of gods and devils, the heavenly monarchs, the sorrowful wails of all living beings, the destruction of the heavens. Those strange scenes were like space-time imprints left in the Milky Way, recording a glimpse of a certain era. But it was enough to make Ling Xiao and the others feel extremely shocked. This was especially so for Ling Xiao. He could vaguely see many corpses floating in the heavenly river, following the waves to an unknown place. This was the underworld sacred river in Ling Xiao's memories. Legend had it that it ran through the heavens and 10,000 worlds, even penetrating through the ancient times and burying all life force. It was the final destination of all powerful beings, the Yellow Springs Holy River. It was exactly the same as the Yellow Springs holy river that Ling Xiao had seen in the War God Plain. However, Ling Xiao's current cultivation was thousands of times stronger than when he was in the God of War realm. Thus he could vaguely see the entire Yellow Springs sacred river. The Netherworld sacred river in front of him was more majestic than any other river Ling Xiao had ever seen. Ling Xiao even saw the corpses of prehistoric beasts in the river. Incomparably huge prehistoric beasts floated in the Yellow Springs sacred river, as small as ants. Yellow Springs sacred river? Why would it appear here? Ji Feishuan also asked in confusion. Perhaps we should ask him. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, and his gaze fell on a figure by the river. Flower-plucking prince. Flower-plucking prince stood by the Yellow Springs sacred river. His robes were whiter than snow, and he looked extraordinarily elegant. Chaotic qi lingered around his body, and his back was facing Ling Xiao and the others. He seemed to have fused with the Yellow Springs sacred river. You're here? I didn't expect that even the saber intent left behind by the hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor couldn't kill you. Looks like you're really strong. Flower-plucking prince slowly turned around, his gaze calm and indifferent. Flower-plucking prince, is the Yellow Springs sacred river your trump card? Ling Xiao glanced at flower-plucking prince and said indifferently, you know about the Yellow Springs sacred river too? However, why would I need the Yellow Springs sacred river to deal with you? After coming here, your life and death are already in my hands. Flower-plucking prince was a little surprised, but he still smiled faintly. Stop acting all mysterious, Ji Feishuan said coldly. Flower-plucking prince, how dare you use the resentment of the hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor to refine the Black Death God Needle? You deserve to die. Domineering Blade's eyes were filled with killing intent as he said furiously. I forgot that you're from the Heavenly Blade clan. The hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor should be considered your ancestor, right? However, I'm very curious if the hegemonic Sky Saber Emperor will kill a genius like you. Flower-plucking prince chuckled. What? Domineering Blade's eyes flashed coldly. Buzz. Flower-plucking prince waved his sleeve, and suddenly, huge waves surged in the Yellow Springs sacred river. Deathly qi surged, and a powerful and terrifying aura gradually formed. Soul return. The flower-pinching prince spat out an incomparably strange and cryptic syllable. His entire aura became incomparably strange. Rumble. Above the Yellow Springs sacred river, endless deathly qi gathered and waves rose. A blazing light bloomed, and a vague figure appeared. It was a middle-aged man in a black robe. His face was blurry, but his eyes were sharp and domineering, and his body exuded an invincible saber intent. His figure looked extremely illusory, but the terrifying aura made Ling Xiao and the other two feel as if they were facing a great enemy. Ancestor. Domineering Blade trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Although the figure in front of him was blurry and his face could not be seen clearly, Domineering Blade recognized him instantly. It was the hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor. That's right. This is the hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor, and it's his Emperor spirit. Are you happy to see your ancestor with your own eyes? You don't have to thank me. Flower-plucking prince said with a faint smile. Then his face became extremely cold, filled with icy killing intent, and a syllable came out of his mouth. Kill. Following flower-plucking prince's order, the hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor exuded a monstrous killing intent, and he instantly charged towards Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, and Domineering Blade. The hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor's Emperor Spirit? You can command the hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor's Emperor Spirit? Flower-plucking prince, I've underestimated you. Ling Xiao looked deeply at flower-plucking prince, and his hair stood on end. The origin energy in his body surged, and he threw out a punch. Although a great emperor expert had fallen, his heroic spirit was not destroyed. It was a kind of imprint of the great Tao that existed between heaven and earth. It could return in a special form, and it could erupt with shocking combat strength. The hegemonic Sky Blade Emperor in front of them was an emperor spirit. Although it was just an emperor spirit, it was still extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, and Domineering Blade felt a strong threat from it. Chapter 32:17. Flower Prince, I want you dead. Ba Dao roared furiously. His voice was incomparably mournful and filled with hatred. He did not expect Flower Prince to be able to control Domineering Blade Monarch's spirit and make it attack them. No matter who won or lost, Domineering Blade could not accept the result. And the culprit was none other than Flower Prince. Say that after you've killed the spirit. However, I'm very curious. Can you steal your heart and make a move against your ancestor? Flower Prince said with a smile. Boom. Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan had already clashed with the spirit. The King Spirit's attack was so powerful that it seemed as if it could split the sky and the earth in half. Domineering Slash. In the hands of the spirit, the power of the Domineering Slash was far greater than Domineering Blades. Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan felt as if they were facing a great enemy. They felt goosebumps all over their bodies as they unleashed their full strength. Ling Xiao's fist was shattered in an instant, and Ji Feishuan's sword chi was also destroyed. The two of them were sent flying as if they had been struck by lightning. There was a deep cut on Ling Xiao's arm, and his blade intent was spreading, preventing his injury from healing. Is this the power of an emperor spirit? Ling Xiao's face was slightly pale, but his eyes were shining brighter and brighter. An emperor spirit was a mark and obsession left behind by a great emperor. To a certain extent, it could be seen as a spiritual body of a great emperor. Although it did not have the full power of a great emperor, it still had part of the power of a great emperor. Just like the Domineering Slash, even Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan, who were peerless imperial emperors, were sent flying in an instant. This was the power of a supreme great emperor. Ling Xiao's fighting spirit surged as he stared at the emperor spirit in front of him. His blood boiled, and a terrifying power began to brew. Since the king spirit was Petalpluck's trump card, Petalpluck decided to destroy it first. As for Domineering Blade, he seemed to have lost his soul. His eyes were filled with cold murderous intent, and he wanted to rush towards Flower Prince. But he was stopped by the king spirit, and all he could do was defend himself. He kept dodging the knife mind, and it was difficult for him to do so. Ling Xiao, this king spirit is very strong. He has part of the hegemonic Blade Emperor's power, but king spirits are spiritual bodies. Yang Qi and Blood Qi are the bane of king spirits. I will block his blade while you fight him. Ji Feishuan said slowly to Ling Xiao. She exuded a majestic aura of life, and her sword intense soared. Her aura became extremely sharp, like a peerless divine sword that had been unsheathed. An infinite amount of sword air gathered around her. It was like a tidal wave, and it locked onto the king spirit. Be careful. Ling Xiao nodded and said. He knew that Ji Feishuan was right, but it was still dangerous for her to face the blade will of the monarch spirit, even if she had the cultivation of a peerless imperial emperor. The knife mind of the king spirit was immortal and overbearing. It was as if it could cut through anything, and it contained the power to destroy the sky and earth. On the other hand, Ji Feishuan's sword intent was like a river of life. If the knife mind of the king spirit was the strongest, Ji Feishuan's sword intent was the softest. Softest and softest were the two extremes, and they were fully displayed by the king spirit and Ji Feishuan. Swoosh. Ji Feishuan took the initiative to attack. An ancient silver sword appeared in her hand, and it was filled with a powerful emperor's aura. It was like a long rainbow, and it was pointed at the king spirit's forehead. The ancient silver sword was the ancient sword of life, and it was also a powerful emperor weapon. Facing the king spirit's powerful pressure, Ji Feishuan took out the ancient sword of life. Boom. The king spirit's face was blurry, but his eyes were cold and overbearing. It was as if an infinite amount of knife mind was gathering in his eyes. Facing Ji Feishuan's sword, he did not dodge. Instead, he slashed down with his palm. Boundless saber light gathered and turned into a huge saber aura. It seemed to have cut through the towering waves in the surroundings and slashed at the ancient sword of life. Shing. Sparks flew in all directions, and the ancient sword of life vibrated. Ji Feishuan was in an endless sea of knife mind. The sword of life was like a candle in the wind, and it was about to be extinguished at any time. Her face was pale as the knife mind rushed into her body. Her organs were damaged, and her arms were about to lose feeling. However, she was still stubbornly resisting. Boom. At the same time, Ling Xiao's blood was boiling. He was like a burning golden flame, and he flew across the void and threw a punch at the king spirit. The chaotic fist print destroyed everything. It was fierce and overbearing, and it was not inferior to the King Spirit's knife mind. It also contained Ling Xiao's peerless fist intent, and it wanted to suppress the King Spirit. The King Spirit's face was expressionless. He slapped down with his palm, and it seemed as if there was a vast world in his palm, and it covered the void in an instant. Endless knife mine surged from all directions, and it was aimed at Ling Xiao's vital parts. Ling Xiao's fist was destroyed. He was so close to the King Spirit, but suddenly, it felt like he was in a different world. He was so close, yet he was so far away. Ling Xiao was trapped by the endless knife mind, and he fought with all his might to break free. Elder, I'm sorry. Seeing Ling Xiao and Ji Feishuan's predicament, Domineering Blade's eyes flashed with a hint of determination. He could not break free from the King Spirit's knife mind, and he could not kill Petalpluck Prince. He had to kill the King Spirit in front of him first before he could face Petalpluck Prince. Even though Domineering Blade's heart was in great pain and struggle, he still held his knife and attacked. Roar! A dragon's roar reverberated in the sky, and the dragon knife appeared in Ba Dao's hand. Suddenly, it looked like an ancient dragon had flown into the sky, and was about to strike the King Spirit. Celestial Tyrant Slash. Domineering Blade used the Celestial Tyrant Slash against the King Spirit. He even hoped that he could use the Celestial Tyrant Slash to awaken the Celestial Tyrant Blade Monarch. Facing Domineering Blade's attack, the King Spirit's eyes flashed, but he did not seem to have any reaction. Endless knife mind gathered around him, and turned into a black knife mind that slashed at Domineering Blade. The black knife mind contained an endless amount of destructive power, and when it collided with the torch dragon knife, there was a loud explosion. Boom! Domineering Blade's body shook violently, and he was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. He coughed up blood, and the torch dragon knife trembled, as if it would fly out of his hand at any moment. Elder again. Ba Dao's eyes were filled with an unyielding look. His fighting spirit soared to the heavens as he once again charged forward with his saber. Celestial Tyrant Slash. Mixed Elements Slash. Destructive Knife. 7 Paths of Slaughter. Domineering Blade had obtained the inheritance of the Celestial Tyrant Blade Monarch. He used all kinds of peerless knife mind skills and Supreme Monarch skills to fight against the King Spirit. Chapter 32:18. This was the most difficult battle Ling Xiao had ever fought since he became an imperial emperor. Although the emperor spirit was not a great emperor, it still possessed part of the combat power of a great emperor. When Ling Xiao faced the emperor spirit, he felt as if he was punching cotton, no matter if he used his powerful emperor skills, or his self-created fist of epic or fist of fortune. The emperor spirit in front of him was impenetrable. Any attack would be nullified by it. No matter how powerful the attack was, it would lose its power in front of the emperor spirit. On the other hand, the emperor spirit's casual attack had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, and Domineering Blade had to give it their all. The only thing that could affect the emperor spirit was Ling Xiao's extremely powerful blood qi. After all, the emperor spirit was a spiritual body. Ling Xiao's blood qi was vast and majestic. He was like a blazing sun. His powerful blood qi could destroy spiritual bodies, but it was difficult for him to get close to the emperor spirit. Therefore, the damage he caused was minimal. Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, and Domineering Blade fought hard, but they were soon at a disadvantage. They were suppressed by the emperor spirit. In the distance, Petalpluck Prince stood beside the Yellow Spring Sacred River. His body was surrounded by a deathly aura. His hands quickly formed a seal, and the Yellow Spring Sacred River's waves surged towards him. As he formed the seal, the water condensed and formed an extremely powerful Yellow Spring domain. It was like the underworld, causing people's hearts to palpitate. Although Ling Xiao didn't know what Petalpluck Prince was looking at, based on his actions, Ling Xiao understood that he was preparing a killing move. This emperor spirit is so strong. Ji Feishuan's eyes were filled with a dignified expression. She was a peerless imperial emperor. She was only a step away from becoming a great emperor. Facing an emperor spirit that only had part of the combat power of a great emperor, she was still at a disadvantage. This Emperor Hegemon Blade is not an ordinary great emperor. Ling Zhao's eyes shone brightly as he whispered to himself. The strength of the Emperor Spirit in front of him was beyond Ling Zhao's imagination. The Emperor Spirit's aura was vaguely similar to that of the Sky Prison Great Emperor. You're right. When Monarch Hegemon Saber was alive, he was a top expert even among the great emperors. How can his king spirit be compared to ordinary great emperors? The evil spirit's voice rang in Ling Zhao's mind. However, when Ling Zhao heard the evil spirit's tone, he did not seem worried at all. Instead, he seemed very relaxed. What do you mean? Do you have a way to deal with the king spirit? Ling Zhao hurriedly asked. What can I do? The only one who can deal with a king spirit is yourself. The evil spirit chuckled. Cut the crap and speak. Ling Zhao said with a frown. Master, what kind of person was the Sky Hegemon Blade Emperor? How could she be controlled by a mere playboy? This was a great humiliation. If you can awaken the king spirit's consciousness, we'll be in for a good show. The evil spirit chuckled. You want to wake up the king spirit? Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. That's right. But whether or not we can awaken the king spirit will depend on you and Overbearing Sword. The evil spirit said to Ling Zhao. After hearing the evil spirit's words, Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with understanding. So that's how it is. Overbearing Sword, after I attack, use all your strength to activate the Sky Hegemon slash. Ling Zhao's words were transmitted to Overbearing Sword's mind. Okay. Overbearing Sword did not know what was going on, but he did not doubt Ling Zhao's words and immediately agreed. Rumble. Ling Zhao's blood boiled. After he took the king spirit's attack, endless blood gathered and exuded an incomparably evil and dark power. Behind him, chaos surged while darkness rose, and it faintly seemed as if it led to an endless hell. An extremely bright blade light soared across the sky, illuminating this side of the world as it slashed toward the king spirit. Avicii Hell's heaven-burying blade. This blade was aimed at the king's Taoist heart. He wanted to use a forbidden blade to break the king spirit's Taoist heart. But who was the Sky Hegemon Blade Emperor? Although he was only left with a king spirit, his Taoist heart was strong and could not be broken by Ling Zhao. Even if the Avicii Hell's heaven-burying blade was extremely powerful. Rumble. The king spirit seemed to have been greatly provoked, and his body was covered in a blazing light. Endless blade essence rose, and his blurry face suddenly became clearer. A pair of eyes shot out a dazzling beam of light that seemed to be able to pierce through the heavens and destroy billions of stars. It contained a peerless killing intent. The king spirit slashed toward Ling Zhao, and the Sky Hegemon slash was like a river of stars, locking onto Ling Zhao in front of him. Now. Ling Zhao shouted at Overbearing Sword. His expression did not change, but his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Under the control of the evil spirit, the textless heavenly book shot up into the sky and suppressed the king's spirit. Overbearing Sword did not hesitate to attack. A blazing blade river swept across the void for billions of miles. It came from the same source as the king's spirit's blade, and it contained the power of great destruction. The textless heavenly book floated above the king spirit's head, and suddenly, a chain of order fell down. It contained a mysterious and ethereal Taoist rhyme, and it enveloped the king spirit. Seeing Overbearing Sword use the Sky Hegemon slash, the king spirit's eyes became confused, as if he was trying to remember something. Oh no! Petalpluck Prince, who was far away, was shocked. He saw that something was wrong with the king spirit's state, and he quickly pointed his finger at the king spirit. You don't know what's good for you. The evil spirit laughed coldly. As he used the textless heavenly book, it bloomed with a dazzling light. It was like a giant seal, and it blocked the river. The king spirit was not affected in the slightest, and the confusion in his eyes gradually disappeared. How is this possible? Petalpluck Prince's heart jumped, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Without a second thought, he leaped into the air, and was about to enter the holy river of Yellow Springs. However, in the next moment, his entire being seemed to have been frozen, and he was fixed in the void. Emperors are not to be humiliated. The king spirit stepped forward and appeared in front of Petalpluck Prince. The king spirit's face was calm and composed, as if he had been freed. But Petalpluck Prince felt a monstrous murderous intent lock him in place. Impossible. Impossible. You have been enslaved by the holy river. You will never be reincarnated. So what if you are an emperor? How can you awaken your consciousness? Petalpluck Prince shouted crazily. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and despair. But the king's spirit ignored him. Boom! A dazzling blade light slashed down and locked onto the flower-pinching prince. It contained a boundless and peerless emperor's might. Chapter 32:19. Get out of my way! The flower-pinching prince roared. His face was contorted, and his body exuded an aura of madness. Rumble! Dazzling light bloomed from between his brows. One after another, Origin Dao fruits flew out like dazzling stars. They intertwined with each other, mysterious and unfathomable. A total of 108 Origin Dao fruits formed a powerful defense that blocked the saber light. A mysterious aura appeared on the flower-pinching prince's body. It was like the power of the heavens, mysterious and unfathomable. The king's spirit's saber did not kill him. Instead, it allowed him to break free from the king's spirit's restraints and flee. A robber? Ling Xiao, Ji Feishuan, and Domineering Blade exclaimed in unison. Their eyes were filled with shock. The flower-pinching prince was indeed a robber. 108 perfect Origin Dao fruits, and the mysterious aura of the heavens. Who else could it be but a robber? The king's spirit's expression was indifferent. He reached out a hand and grabbed the flower-pinching prince. Boom! His hand seemed to encompass heaven and earth, and it seemed to pierce through endless time and space. It stretched for hundreds of millions of miles, and grabbed the flower-pinching prince in the palm of his hand. Ah! Petalpluck Prince let out an incomparably despairing roar. The next moment, his voice came to an abrupt end. Boom! The king's spirit clenched his hand. An endless blood-red light filled the air. The flower-pinching prince's body and primordial spirit exploded with a loud bang. Only the 108 Origin Dao fruits and a mysterious ball of light remained intact. They flew toward Ling Xiao. For me? Ling Xiao stared at the king's spirit, a trace of surprise in his eyes. He did not expect the king's spirit to give these things to him. You're already on the right path. The king's spirit looked at Ling Xiao carefully for a moment. His eyes were mysterious and bright, as if they could see through everything about Ling Xiao. In the end, he sighed softly, full of regret. Ling Xiao even felt a trace of envy. You might have a chance to break your destiny. Please take care of the Heavenly Blade clan. The king's spirit said softly. Without waiting for Ling Xiao's reply, he turned around and looked at Ba Dao. His eyes were filled with hope and relief. In the end he exploded. He turned into a resplendent rain of light, and fused into Ba Dao's body. Patriarch! Ba Dao's body shook violently, and his eyes turned red. Hegemonic Skyblade Emperor is dead. The evil spirit sighed softly. The Emperor spirit was a mark left behind by a great emperor. It was almost indestructible. However, Emperor Hegemon Blade had chosen to destroy himself to help Hegemon Blade. An extremely powerful saber intent emanated from Ba Dao's body. However, Ba Dao's face was filled with sorrow. Boom! He knelt down and kowtowed deeply in the direction of the king's spirit's destruction. The evil spirit's expression was somewhat complicated. In a way, he was a king spirit, but he was a combination of the evil thoughts of two great emperors. Seeing the king spirit die on its own, Han Sen's heart was filled with emotions. This flower-pinching young master is a scheming person. He's quite a character. If the king spirit hadn't killed him, he would have escaped. Ji Feishuan said slowly. So this is the robber? It seems like he's in cahoots with Young Kongzi. Ling Xiao said softly as he looked at the 108 Origin Dao fruits floating in front of him, and the resplendent ball of light. That ball of light was the heavenly path providence. Ling Xiao hadn't expected the flower-pinching young master to have so much heavenly path providence in him. It was comparable to the guardian's heavenly path providence. Ling Xiao had obtained a lot of heavenly path providence from killing the Candle Dragon and Young Kongzi. Now that it had merged with his sea of consciousness, Ling Xiao's perception of the Eternal Emperor's path became clearer. Each of the flower-pinching young master's 108 Origin Dao fruits was of perfect quality, and contained a powerful Great Dao origin. Although the flower-pinching young master was only an 8th Heaven Imperial Lord, He had the battle strength of a peerless imperial lord. If the emperor's spirit hadn't killed the flower-pinching young master, it wouldn't have been easy for Ling Xiao to kill him. Ba Dao, the hegemonic Skyblade Emperor, chose to commit suicide because he had high hopes for you. You should inherit his will and move forward courageously, so that you won't disappoint the hegemonic Skyblade Emperor. Ling Xiao said with a sigh as he helped Ba Dao up. Big brother, I understand. Ba Dao said with reddened eyes. Ba Dao's cultivation had reached the peak of the 7th Heaven Imperial Lord realm, and could break through at any time. Although there were many killings on the Eternal Emperor's path, there were also many opportunities. Many geniuses who entered the Eternal Emperor's path were able to improve their cultivation by leaps and bounds. Ling Xiao, what do you plan to do next? Ji Feishuan asked Ling Xiao. What else can I do? Of course, I'll cross the chaotic wilderness and go around the dozens of imperial cities ahead. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly as he understood what Ji Feishuan meant. His reputation on the Eternal Emperor's path had probably spread far and wide. After killing 2 Imperial Cities Guardian Envoys, the remaining Imperial Cities Guardian Envoys would definitely try to kill him the moment they saw him, let alone not allowing him to enter their Imperial Cities. Therefore, going through the Imperial Cities test to reach the end of the Eternal Emperor's path was no longer feasible. Ling Xiao could only go around the Imperial Cities and cross the chaotic wilderness. At the end of the Eternal Emperor's path were the 12 Eternal Emperor cities. That was the final destination for all the geniuses. The chaotic wilderness is extremely dangerous. There are all kinds of powerful desolate beasts and even dangerous places. Do you really want to do this? Ji Feishuan's eyes were filled with worry. What else can I do? Do I have to go back the way I came? There's no turning back on the Eternal Emperor's path. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, but there was no fear in his eyes. On the contrary, he was looking forward to the unknown chaotic wilderness. Big brother, I'll go with you. Ba Dao said seriously. No. You don't have to take the risk. Go through the Imperial Cities. It's much safer for me to cross the chaotic wilderness alone. Let's meet at the end. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and shook his head in rejection. Ji Feishuan and Ba Dao were helpless. However, they understood Ling Xiao's character and did not try to persuade him. Ahem, Ling Xiao, I'll go with Ba Dao and the others. You be careful. Fatty Blackie turned into a streak of black light and flew out of Ling Xiao's small world. He coughed softly and said. He sneakily retreated, wanting to hide behind Ba Dao, but he was caught by Ling Xiao in an instant. Ling Xiao pinched Fatty Xiaohei's nose and rubbed his round face until it was deformed. Then he smiled and hugged Fatty Xiaohei's shoulder. Fatty Xiaohei, you should go with me. Your cultivation is too weak. I'll find some treasures in the chaotic wilderness for you to raise your cultivation as soon as possible. There's no challenge in going through the Imperial Cities. Ling Xiao, you bastard. Let me go, or I'll never let you off. I'm willing to go through the Imperial Cities. I don't want to go with you. Don't stop me if you want to die. Help. Fatty Xiaohei screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Chapter 32:20. Ji Feishuan and Ba Dao left. They understood Ling Xiao's current situation. Although they were worried that Ling Xiao would encounter danger in the chaotic wilderness, they trusted Ling Xiao more. They believed that Ling Xiao would definitely be able to cross the chaotic wilderness and meet them at the end of the Eternal Emperor Road. They agreed to meet at the Chaos Emperor City. The Chaos Emperor City was the head of the 12 Emperor Cities, and also the end of the Eternal Emperor Road. It was said that the Chaos Emperor City was extremely powerful. On one side was the Eternal Emperor Road, and on the other side was the endless chaotic void. Arriving at the Chaos Emperor City could be considered as stepping onto the peak of the Eternal Emperor Road. Fatty Xiaohei couldn't break free from Ling Xiao's evil clutches in the end. He looked at Ling Xiao with resentment. Ling Xiao, I'm going to die because of you. Fatty Xiaohei said with a long face. Whenever he thought about how terrifying the chaotic wilderness was, he would feel extremely terrified. This damn Ling Xiao, why did he have to drag him into the chaotic wilderness? You're not willing? If you don't want to, you can leave now. I heard that our names have spread throughout the Imperial City. I'm afraid that the Guardian Envoys will immediately attack us if they see us. Are you sure you can pass through the imperial city unscathed? Ling Xiao glanced at Fatty Xiaohei and said with a faint smile, "You're bluffing." Fatty Xiaohei was a little unconvinced, but at the same time he was also a little lacking in confidence. "You can try if you don't believe me. However, if you're rejected, you won't have the chance to cross the chaotic wilderness with me," Ling Xiao said with a smile. Fatty Xiaohei's face was sullen. He was skeptical of Ling Xiao's words, but he didn't dare to take the risk. He knew that he was very famous in the Kuanpeng Emperor city. Previously, Young Kongzi had issued a kill order for him. All the guards knew him. If he said that Young Kongzi's death was related to him, all the guards would believe him. Speaking of which, he was the main culprit. If he didn't bewitch Ling Xiao might not have fought with Young Kongzi. "Ling Xiao, you're really a bastard." Fatty Xiaohei's face was pale. He believed Ling Xiao's words. "I was kind enough to bring you across the chaotic wilderness. Since you're not willing, you can leave." Ling Xiao glanced at Fatty Xiao and said with a faint smile, "Leave? Where can I go?" "Ling Xiao, you can't burn the bridge." Fatty Xiaohei's heart trembled, and he hurriedly said, "Burn the bridge? You can't tell me where I'm from now on." "Go wherever you want to go," said Ling Xiaohei. "Ling Xiao, big brother Ling Xiao, Uncle Ling Xiao. You can't be like this. I'll listen to everything you say, okay? As long as you bring me across the Kuan, I will do anything." Fatty Xiaohei panicked and pounced on Ling Xiao, hugging his thigh as he howled in agony. He was merely at the 3rd level of the Imperial Monarch realm, so traversing the chaotic wilderness by himself was simply courting death. In the primal chaos wilderness, being fast wasn't enough to guarantee one's safety. There were too many dangers in the primal chaos wilderness. Thinking about the various legends about the primal chaos wilderness, Fatty Blackie's scalp went numb and his little face turned deathly pale. "I can do anything?" Fatty Xiaohei gritted his teeth. "Then you have to be my mount." "Ling Xiao, you're going too far. Then you should leave." "I'll kill you." While Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie were fooling around, they did not notice that a pair of eyes in the Yellow Springs Sacred River were staring at Ling Xiao through the layers of chaotic fog. That pair of eyes was bright, deep, and incomparably complicated. They looked at Ling Xiao with reluctance and longing, but in the end, they were replaced by indifference. A soft sigh was heard, and the pair of eyes disappeared into the chaotic fog. "Strange, it seems like something is watching me." Ling Xiao looked into the depths of the Yellow Springs Sacred River. "What is it?" "Don't scare me. The Yellow Springs Sacred River is full of corpses. Who knows how many tens of thousands of years have passed? There has never been anything alive." Xiaohei grabbed Ling Xiao's sleeve, his face full of vigilance. "I don't know. Look at how useless you are. I'm going into seclusion to refine the origin Dao fruit. Protect me." Ling Xiao shook his head and glared at Fatty Blackie in exasperation. "Seclusion? Do you have to seclude yourself here? The Yellow Springs Sacred River flows through here. It's an ominous place." Xiaohei looked at the Yellow Springs Sacred River in the distance. "It's the safest place. If you leave and are discovered by the Kuanping Imperial City Guards or trial takers, do you think you'll be a match for them?" Ling Xiao said in annoyance. "What's there to be afraid of? I have the Heaven Devourer Bell." Fatty Xiaohei said proudly. "Refine the Heaven Devourer Bell first." Ling Xiao ignored Xiaohei and sat cross-legged on a barren mountain in the distance, beginning to refine the 108 Origin Dao fruits on Petal Pluck Prince. The 108 Origin Dao fruits and the ball of heavenly Dao fortune were incomparably precious treasures to Ling Xiao. Perhaps they could help his cultivation advance a step further. Moreover, Ling Xiao was very curious about the heavenly Dao fortune of robbers. What was the difference between the heavenly Dao fortune of guardians and robbers? The 108 Origin Dao fruits merged into Ling Xiao's consciousness. Unfortunately, most of them overlapped with Ling Xiao's own. In the end, Ling Xiao had only obtained 40 perfect Origin Dao fruits. The number of Origin Dao fruits in Ling Xiao's consciousness had reached an astonishing 220. Refining the Origin Dao fruits wasn't difficult for Ling Xiao. He focused all of his attention on the ball of heavenly Dao fortune. Perhaps I'll be able to form the Heaven Dao Pearl after merging with this ball of heavenly Dao fortune? Ling Xiao thought to himself. The Heaven Dao Pearl was a pearl formed in one's consciousness, when one's heavenly Dao fortune was extremely powerful. It could sense the truths of heavenly Dao, peer into the heavens, and see through the eternal emperor's path. It could even be invulnerable to all things. Ling Xiao was the chosen one. In addition, he had devoured a considerable amount of heavenly Dao fate after killing the two guardians. Now the heavenly Dao fate in Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness was like a dense fog. It shone with a myriad of multicolored lights, and it was almost tangible. As that ball of heavenly Dao providence fused into Ling Xiao's forehead, Ling Xiao's primordial spirit sea of consciousness shone brightly. The dense fate of the heavenly ways had already merged with Ling Xiao's soul. Now, it trembled violently as if it was boiling, gathering together. Rumble. The vast heavenly Dao fortune rose like a sea of clouds, constantly merging with each other, and releasing dazzling light. A transcendent and mysterious aura permeated the air. Amidst the heavenly Dao providence, there seemed to be a pearl that was about to condense. Chapter 32:21. P.S. I haven't slept at night taking care of the baby for the past 2 days. Now that the confinement nanny is here, I can finally relax a little. Today, I will make up for yesterday's update and release as much as I can. Tomorrow is the Mid-Autumn Festival. I wish everyone a happy Mid-Autumn Festival. This is the Heaven's Path Pearl? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and his eyes revealed a trace of understanding. On the Eternal Emperor's Road, if one could obtain enough Heaven's fate and condense the Heaven's Path Pearl, they would become the Son of the Heavens. With the vast power of the heavens, they would be invincible. The Heaven's Path Pearl was the symbol of the Son of the Heavens. Son of the Heavens? Is the heavens still the heavens? Ling Xiao thought to himself. Buzz. The Heaven's Path Pearl devoured all the heavens' fate and looked sparkling like glass. Specks of starlight gathered, as if it contained a vast starry sky. Ling Xiao felt an incomparably powerful heavenly might from the Heaven's Path Pearl. The Heaven's Path Pearl seemed to be very spiritual. After devouring all the heavens' fate, it was about to merge back into Ling Xiao's indestructible primordial spirit. Whoosh! Ling Xiao's mind moved, and the textless heavenly book instantly flew out and blocked the Heaven's Path Pearl. Then, it emitted a powerful devouring force, and swallowed the Heaven's Path Pearl into the textless heavenly book. TSK. Master, you're really generous. Once the indestructible primordial spirit merges with the Heaven's Path Pearl, you'll be the Son of the Heavens. You'll be invincible, and it'll be much easier for you to break through the chaotic wilderness. The evil spirit said, Son of the Heavens? It's fine if I don't want to be the Son of the Heavens. I'm still used to controlling my own fate. I have a feeling that if I merge with the Heaven's Path Pearl, I might become a robber. Ling Xiao said slowly with a burning gaze. Ever since he suspected the heavens, he was extremely wary of everything related to the heavens. The Heaven's Path Pearl seemed like a good item, but Ling Xiao instinctively felt that something was wrong. It was as if a disaster would befall him after merging with the Heaven's Path Pearl. Master, don't worry. No matter what strange things about the Heaven's Path Pearl, I'll help you. Even the Heaven's Path Pearl can't escape from the textless heavenly book. The evil spirit said confidently. Then it's up to you. Ling Xiao nodded and said non-committally. He felt a mysterious will in the Heavenly Path Pearl. Ling Xiao was very cautious. Although he did not integrate it into his primordial spirit, he still planned to use the wordless heavenly book to investigate the details of the Heavenly Path Pearl. However, the Heavenly Path Pearl was formed from the Heavenly Path Luck. It illuminated the heavens and was unfathomable. Even with the wordless heavenly book, it was not something that could be thoroughly investigated in a short time. It's time to go. Ling Xiao sighed softly. The sharpness in his eyes seemed to pierce through the layers of chaotic fog, and see the vast wilderness in the depths. In the wilderness of chaos, the forbidden zone of Eternal Emperor Road. That was Ling Xiao's only path. Whoosh! Fatty Xiaohei turned into a big black and white fish. Yin and Yang Qi intertwined around him. His wings spread out like clouds in the sky, emitting a desolate and ancient aura. Ling Xiao took a step forward and stepped onto the back of the Kuan Peng. Then, the Kunpeng soared into the sky and disappeared into the horizon. They left the Yellow Springs Sacred River, the Great Swamp of the Mountains and Seas, and the Kunpeng Imperial Cities area. They headed in a distant and unknown direction. Eternal Emperor Road was vast and boundless. Many people even guessed that Eternal Emperor Road was not just a road, but an endless world. The area covered by the 108 imperial cities was protected by the Heavenly Path. It was the safest place. This was also the path that many challengers had to pass through. After passing the test of one imperial city, they would step onto another imperial city. However, the path that Ling Xiao was taking now was the boundless wilderness outside the imperial city. There was no imperial city as a place to rest. There were only countless primeval beasts that were even taller than mountains, and all kinds of unexpected dangers. Also loneliness. That's right, loneliness. In the wilderness of chaos, one might not even meet an intelligent being in 10, 100, or even 10,000 years. That kind of loneliness came from the depths of one's soul. The most terrifying thing was that if one got lost in the wilderness of chaos, they might be trapped there forever. Therefore, the wilderness of chaos was a place that all challengers were afraid of. But now, the wilderness of chaos was Ling Xiao's path. Ling Xiao, that's the wilderness of chaos. I'm afraid I'm going to die because of you. Fatty Xiaohe had a long face as he spoke in human language. In front of them, endless chaotic mist rose. It was vast and mighty, like a sea of clouds that separated the heavens and the earth into two halves. Behind them, they could still see the ancient and majestic Kunpeng Imperial City. But in front of them, there was only endless wilderness. Vast, silent, desolate, and lonely. It was as if they had been abandoned by the world. Stepping into the wilderness of chaos made them feel abandoned. Even the depths of their souls were not used to it. So what if it's the wilderness of chaos? If I can't even conquer the wilderness of chaos, how can I reach the peak of Eternal Emperor Road and find the secret of transcendence? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, but in his heart, he was full of pride. The vast wilderness of chaos in front of him was filled with danger. It was ancient and mysterious, but it made Ling Xiao feel like he had conquered it. Ling Xiao, you said you would protect me and help me find treasures to help me improve my cultivation. Fatty Xiaohe said with a grunt. Don't worry. As long as you obediently become my mount, you won't be short of benefits. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Fatty Xiaohe was probably the only pure-blooded Kunpeng divine beast in the universe. His bloodline had already reverted to its ancestor, and he was not inferior to the Kunpeng divine beast. His wings were like clouds in the sky, spanning 90,000 miles. Was there any mount that was more flashy and faster than the Kunpeng? Maybe there was. Ling Xiao thought of the dragon horse with its big white teeth. It might be comparable to the Kunpeng, but it was a pity that the dragon horse was not here. With Fatty Xiaohe around, it would be a great help for Ling Xiao to cross the wilderness of chaos. Fatty Xiaohe's face twitched when he heard the word mount. His eyes were full of displeasure, but there was nothing he could do. Following Ling Xiao's command, he shot out like a bolt of black lightning and entered the endless wilderness of chaos. Ha ha. Friends in the wilderness of chaos, I'm coming. You'd better wash up and wait for me to dote on you. I'm going to eat all the wild beasts in the wilderness of chaos. Eat all of them. Fatty Blackie suppressed the worry in his heart. A proud expression surfaced between his brows as he roared at the primal chaos wilderness. His voice reverberated between heaven and earth like thunder, setting off gusts of wind. He was extremely arrogant and domineering. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and ignored Fatty Xiaohe's shouts. He stood on the back of the Kunpeng, and the chaotic fog around him changed. His clothes and black hair fluttered in the wind, and his aura was extraordinary. He was like an emperor descending to the mortal world. In the blink of an eye, the two of them disappeared into the endless chaos without a trace. Chapter 32-22. Just as Ling Xiao and Fatty Blackie entered the chaotic wilderness, Ling Xiao's name had spread throughout the 108 imperial cities. Out of the 108 emperor cities in Eternal Emperor Road, there were 96 guardian envoys in the other 96 emperor cities, except for the last 12 Supreme Emperor cities that did not have a guardian envoy. These guardians were all chosen by the Heavenly Tao and possessed the Heavenly Tao fate. They were very familiar with each other, and had special means to communicate with each other. With the support of the Heavenly Tao fate, they were like great emperors in their respective imperial cities, and had the power to suppress everything. They were used to abusing others and had never thought that they would die in the hands of the trial challengers. In their eyes, the trial challengers were just a flock of cattle and sheep, other than a few geniuses who needed to be paid attention to. The rest were just for them to take. They were guardians, the emissaries of the Heavenly Tao fate. Now there was a flock of cattle and sheep who had killed 2 guardians consecutively. This immediately caused an uproar in all the imperial cities. Ling Xiao deserves to die. That's right. Daring to kill a guardian is defying the Heavenly Tao and deserves to die. I think he's a robber and must die. The human race is a bunch of arrogant people who don't respect the Heavenly Tao and Heavenly Tao. Do you remember that guy from an epoch ago? The way I see it, this Ling Xiao wants to walk his path. You mean Dijun? That's right. This was the so-called Heavenly Emperor of the human race. An epoch ago, he stirred up a storm of blood on Eternal Emperor Road. The majority of the 96 guardians died at his hands. But without him, we wouldn't have been able to get to the top. Eternal Emperor Road will never allow such an awesome existence. In the endless chaotic void, powerful divine consciousnesses intertwined. Their auras were powerful and terrifying, containing shock, anger, and fear. They were all guardians of the various imperial cities. After hearing that Ling Xiao had killed the Candle Dragon and Young Kongzi, they could no longer sit still. All 96 imperial cities issue a kill order at the same time. Anyone who can kill Ling Xiao will be directly sent to Chaos Imperial City and be rewarded with a Heavenly Tao Pearl. This Ling Xiao must die. For this, even if we have to expend a portion of our Heavenly Tao Providence to condense the Heavenly Tao Pearl, we will not hesitate. Those sky prides and monstrous geniuses might not care about going straight to the primal Chaos Emperor City, but they definitely care about the Heavenly Tao Pearl. Agreed. Agreed. Many of the Guardian envoys were extremely wary of Ling Xiao. At the same time, they issued a kill order in the Imperial City. At the same time, they put all the cities under martial law and ordered the guards to patrol day and night, not allowing Ling Xiao to enter. They were determined to kill him. As soon as the Imperial City kill order was issued, the entire Eternal Emperor's Road was in an uproar. Everyone was in an uproar. This Ling Xiao is the heaven's chosen one from the divine world? He's too awesome. He just entered Eternal Emperor Road. And yet he's already killed 2 Guardian envoys. That's right. Ling Xiao is truly a role model for my generation. I've long found those Guardian envoys displeasing to the eye. All of them act like tyrants, acting as the representatives of the Heavenly Tao. All of them deserve to die. But the reward for the Imperial City kill order is really tempting. Not only does it lead straight to the primal Chaos Emperor City, but there's also the Heavenly Tao Pearl as a reward. That's the Heavenly Tao Pearl we're talking about. What's the Heavenly Tao Pearl? Brother, please explain. You don't know about the Heavenly Tao Pearl? It's formed from the Heavenly Tao fate. Legend has it that once the Heavenly Tao Pearl forms in one's body, one will become the son of the Heavenly Tao and be invincible. Not only will one's cultivation increase rapidly, but one can also easily touch the origin of the great Tao. It's a priceless treasure. Even an extreme Tao monarch weapon would not be worth it. It's actually so heaven-defying? Looks like those Guardian envoys are completely afraid of Ling Xiao. They even took out such a heaven-defying treasure. Isn't that so? But Ling Xiao is probably in danger now. There are so many trial takers from all over the universe. And there's no lack of ancient sky prides and monstrous geniuses. There will definitely be people interested in the Heavenly Tao Pearl. If Ling Xiao can't enter the Imperial City, what about him? Is he going to enter the Primal Chaos Wilderness? It's hard to say. The Primal Chaos Wilderness is so dangerous. If it's me, even if I die, I'll die in the Imperial City. In the various Imperial cities, many trial takers were discussing fervently. They were extremely shocked. Some people sympathized and admired Ling Xiao, But some people mocked and ridiculed him. Some people were even interested in the Imperial City Hunting Order's reward, and secretly tried to find out about Ling Zhao's whereabouts. After all, according to the Imperial City Hunting Order, Ling Zhao's cultivation level was only at the mid-level Imperial Emperor realm. He must have used some underhanded means to kill the two Guardian envoys. It was not his true strength. In the various Imperial cities, the Sky Prides and monstrous geniuses were also alarmed. Indeed, as the Guardian envoys had expected, the Primal Chaos Imperial City was not attractive to them. After all, each of them was a peerless Sky Prides, and they were confident that they could kill their way into the Primal Chaos Imperial City. However, the Heavenly Tao Pearl was different. It was a heaven-defying treasure. Even the ancient Sky Prides and monstrous geniuses were interested in it. The various Imperial cities were in a mess. Some people began to inquire about Ling Zhao's whereabouts. Some people even wanted to make a move on Ling Zhao's acquaintances. Some of Ling Zhao's friends were also investigated. For the Imperial City Hunting Order, many trial takers and Sky Prides were mobilized. Outside the Heaven Demon Imperial City, a valiant young man in golden armor was riding a three-legged golden crow and fleeing into the distance at an extremely fast speed. Behind him, a group of figures with powerful auras chased after him. As they chased after him, they shouted and threatened him loudly. "Zhao Ritian, where do you think you're going? Surrender obediently. Once we capture Ling Xiao, we'll naturally let you go. Otherwise, we'll let you have a taste of what it's like to live a life worse than death." An extremely domineering voice boomed like thunder. It was also like the roar of a dragon or a tiger. It was so loud that it hurt people's ears. "You want to capture your grandfather? Dream on. A bunch of bastards. If it's a one-on-one fight, I'll beat you until your mother can't recognize you. What's the point of bullying others with numbers?" Zhao Ritian was so angry that he cursed. His eyes were filled with grievance. That's right. The young man riding on the three-legged golden crow was Zhao Ritian. At this moment he looked extremely pathetic. The dazzling three-legged golden crow continued to increase its speed and fled into the distance. "Master, that Ling Xiao is a good-for-nothing. He's really a troublemaker. He actually made the entire world his enemy. Everyone on the Eternal Emperor Road wants to kill him. He even implicated us." The three-legged golden crow said in a muffled voice. Peak. Chapter 32-23. The three-legged golden crow was also a pure-blooded divine beast. After becoming Zhao Ritian's mount, it had followed Zhao Ritian for a few great opportunities and deeply understood the terrifying power of Zhao Ritian's fortune maker. Since then, it had followed Zhao Ritian obediently and could not be chased away. Now the three-legged golden crow was also an imperial emperor, and its cultivation had reached the third heaven of the imperial emperor realm. Zhao Ritian's cultivation had even reached the sixth heaven of the imperial emperor realm. "Don't mention that bastard to me. Ling Xiao, that bastard. When I see him, I'll definitely teach him a lesson. He's practically a rat on the street now. Just because I said I knew Ling Xiao, that bunch of mad dogs chased after me. I'm so angry." Zhao Ritian scolded. He was extremely depressed. After entering the Eternal Emperor Road, Zhao Ritian had been extremely carefree. He had passed through the trials of several emperor cities without any mishaps. He had also obtained many opportunities. He had even mistakenly entered the land of inheritance of a great emperor, and obtained a large number of origin pills. His cultivation had also improved by leaps and bounds. He did not feel how cruel the Eternal Emperor Road was at all. On the contrary, he felt that the Eternal Emperor Road was full of opportunities and opportunities. Just as he leisurely entered Sky Devil Imperial City, he heard people talking about Ling Xiao. In the end, before he could figure out what was going on, he had already said that he knew Ling Xiao. Then tragedy befell him. A group of trial takers were like mad dogs. Their eyes were red as they began to chase him from Heaven Demon Imperial City. They had been chasing him for hundreds of thousands of miles. Although Zhao Ritian's cultivation was extraordinary and his strength was incomparably strong, there were many high-level imperial emperors among the trial takers. Two fists were no match for four hands. He could only run around gloomily. The culprit of all this was Ling Xiao. Zhao Ritian had already cursed Ling Xiao's 18 generations of ancestors. This was simply an unexpected calamity. Master, it's all because of your big mouth. If you didn't say you knew Ling Xiao, they wouldn't have chased you. We wouldn't be in such a sorry state. The three-legged golden crow said gloomily. Shut up. Stop talking nonsense. Let's think about how to escape first. Zhao Ritian said angrily. However, even though Zhao Ritian hated Ling Xiao to the core, there was still a trace of admiration in his heart. He did not expect Ling Xiao to be so powerful. Not long after entering Eternal Emperor Road, he had already killed 2 Guardian envoys. The Guardian had the blessing of the Heavenly Tao. Their strength was unparalleled and unfathomable. Every Guardian had the cultivation base of a peerless Imperial Emperor. Zhao Ritian was very curious about how Ling Xiao managed to kill the Guardian. The three-legged golden crow carried Zhao Ritian and fled at full speed. Soon, they saw black demonic qi rising in front of them. On the vast land, there was an unfathomably deep abyss. The earth seemed to have been split in half by some kind of mighty force of heaven and earth. The abyss stretched for hundreds of millions of miles, leading to the depths of the chaos. Inside the abyss, a majestic demonic aura rose, pure and vast. This is Heavenly Devil Abyss. Little 3, quickly enter the Heavenly Devil Abyss. Perhaps we can use the Heavenly Devil Abyss to shake off those mad dogs behind us. Zhao Ritian's face was filled with joy as he hurriedly urged the three-legged golden crow. The Heavenly Devil Abyss was a forbidden area around the Heavenly Devil Emperor City. It was also the training ground of the Heavenly Devil Emperor City. Legend had it that it was extremely dangerous, with many powerful prehistoric demonic beasts. However, at this moment, the Heavenly Devil Abyss was like a paradise to Zhao Ritian. He could not care less. Master, I've said it before. Don't call me Little 3. I have a name. My name is Donghuang. The three-legged golden crow said with some dissatisfaction. Why are you talking so much nonsense? If I say you're Little 3, then you're Little 3. Donghuang? Why don't you call yourself Dongdi? Quickly get down. Zhao Ritian suddenly grabbed the three-legged golden crow's neck and said fiercely. Don't pinch, I'm dying. The three-legged golden crow cried out in pain. After a moment of chaos, the three-legged golden crow obediently flew into the Heavenly Devil Abyss. The three-legged golden crow was extremely fast. Its entire body was golden, like a golden sun. It was surrounded by the true sun fire, as if it could burn everything. When it was escaping with Zhao Ritian, although its speed was extremely fast, it was like a bright lamp. It could not escape the eyes of the trial challengers at all. However, now that the three-legged golden crow had entered the Heavenly Devil Abyss, its figure and aura were quickly covered by the vast demonic qi. The three-legged golden crow and Zhao Ritian had disappeared. Many of the trial challengers stopped in front of the Heavenly Demon Abyss, and their eyes were filled with fear. What should we do? Should we chase after them? The Heavenly Devil Abyss is full of danger. The training has not started yet. If we fall into it and encounter powerful prehistoric demonic beasts, I'm afraid we'll all die. Chase. We must catch that Zhao Ritian. That Zhao Ritian is the son of the Heavenly Emperor. He must have the inheritance and treasures of the Heavenly Emperor. It doesn't matter if we can't find Ling Xiao's whereabouts from him. This kid himself is a huge treasure. Among the trial challengers, there were 4 figures with incomparably powerful auras. They were all high-level Imperial Emperors. 2 of them were elders from the Demon Clan. They were both wearing black robes. Their auras were incomparably powerful and unfathomable. There was also a young man with a cold face and a middle-aged woman with a voluptuous figure, who looked very charming. The 4 of them were the leaders of the group. In the end, they decided to enter the Heavenly Devil Abyss to hunt down Zhao Ritian. With their decision, everyone gritted their teeth and plunged into the Heavenly Demonic Abyss. The Heavenly Devil Abyss was an underground abyss. After entering the Heavenly Devil Abyss, Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow realized that there was another world here. It was actually an incomparably vast underground world. In front of them was a gray area with only a faint light. It was like chaos. Although there were mountains and lakes, they were tainted with a trace of demonic qi. It looked very strange. After entering the heavenly devil abyss, Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow withdrew their auras at the same time. Light flashed around Zhao Ritian's body. His incomparably flashy golden battle armor instantly turned into a black robe. The three-legged golden crow also withdrew its golden light and turned into an ordinary black crow. The two of them hid in the demonic qi and moved into the distance at an extremely fast speed. Master, our auras have been isolated by the heavenly devil abyss. They have now lost their lock on us. What should we do next? The three-legged golden crow asked. Of course, we'll take a look around the heavenly devil abyss. Based on my experience, the forbidden areas around the imperial city are all related to great emperors. Perhaps there's a great emperor's inheritance here. Let's go look for it. When my cultivation improves greatly, I'll kill all those bastards who are chasing after us. Zhao Ritian snorted coldly. A great emperor's inheritance? Master, where are we going now? The three-legged golden crow's eyes lit up as it asked eagerly. It fully understood how terrifying Zhao Ritian was as the fortune boy. This guy was like the illegitimate child of the heavenly axiom. Wherever he went, there would be a pile of treasures. Counting carefully, the great emperor's inheritance that Zhao Ritian had with him should have exceeded 10, right? The great emperor's inheritance that others yearned for but could not obtain was as simple as eating and drinking for Zhao Ritian. There. I think there's something good there. Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed as he pointed in a direction. Without needing him to say anything, the three-legged golden crow immediately flew in that direction. Peak. Chapter 32-24. Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow traveled through the dark demonic qi at an extremely fast speed. The heavenly demon abyss was shrouded in pure demonic qi. It looked like a dark world. Although there were mountains and rivers, it was lifeless as if there were no signs of life. The two of them had concealed their auras, making them look ordinary. Therefore, along the way, except for some of the less powerful ancient beasts blocking their way, they were easily killed by them. As for those powerful ancient beasts, each of them had an incomparably powerful aura. They could sense them from far away, so they carefully avoided them. Along the way, they arrived at their destination without any mishaps. In the center of the heavenly demon abyss, there was a towering mountain that reached into the clouds. It was 1,000,000 feet tall, like a heavenly pillar that connected heaven and earth. The heavenly demon abyss was shrouded in black demonic qi. Its aura was monstrous, ancient and mysterious. The top of the mountain was surrounded by chaotic clouds, looking very mysterious. Heavenly Demon Mountain. For some reason, the name of the mountain naturally appeared in Zhao Ritian's mind when he got close to the mountain. It was as if there was some kind of mysterious power that directly imprinted the words Heavenly Demon Mountain in Zhao Ritian's mind. Master, this Heavenly Demon Mountain looks very extraordinary. Could it be that there are treasures inside? The three-legged golden crow asked excitedly. There should be treasures. I can feel a strong emperor's aura. Perhaps this is the place of inheritance of a great emperor. Zhao Ritian nodded as a strange look appeared in his eyes. The place of inheritance of a great emperor? The three-legged golden crow's mouth twitched. Zhao Ritian said it so easily. Did he really think that the place of inheritance of a great emperor was cabbage? Even on the Eternal Emperor's Road, the place of inheritance of a great emperor was the best treasure. Ancient sky prides and monsters would fight for it. However, thinking about Zhao Ritian's heaven-defying luck, the three-legged golden crow could not help but believe it. Whoosh! The three-legged golden crow passed through the thick demonic qi and arrived at the top of the heavenly demon mountain. Boom! Just as they passed through the demonic qi, they felt a vast heavenly aura coming. It contained an unparalleled force that directly pressed down on them. The three-legged golden crow and Zhao Ritian's body trembled and fell from the sky, slamming hard on the hard mountain rocks. Ouch, it hurts. Zhao Ritian was dizzy from the fall, and immediately started cursing out loud. What is this place? He stood up and looked around. In front of him was Demonic Mountain, which towered into the clouds. It was majestic and majestic. It was 1,000,000 miles tall, and he couldn't see the end of it at a glance. Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow were at the foot of the demonic mountain. There was a white jade staircase in front of them that snaked up to the top of the mountain. In the void, strange runes flickered. The order of the great path intertwined, containing an incomparably terrifying energy fluctuation. This was a no-fly zone, so it was impossible to fly directly to the peak of demonic mountain. Furthermore, Zhao Ritian could feel that the intertwining runes and orders in the void were extremely terrifying. It was as though they could tear everything apart, causing his heart to palpitate slightly. Someone actually came? An extremely surprised voice sounded. Who are you? Get out here. Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow shuddered. Instantly, they were on high alert as they looked around. Boom. With a loud bang, they saw a figure rolling down from the white jade staircase. That's right, it was rolling down. It was like a huge black rock, majestic and extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow. Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow quickly dodged. Bang! The earth shook violently, and a human-shaped crater appeared. That figure fell in front of the two of them like a meteor. It's been 3,000 years. Finally, someone came. An extremely joyful voice sounded. The black figure patted the dust off his body and stood up from the pit, as though there was no one around. He walked in front of Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow. It was a young man in ragged clothes. He looked like a beggar. The hair on his body was very long, and the beard on his face covered most of his face. Only a pair of sharp and domineering eyes could be seen. However, at this moment they were filled with joy. He wore a black boxing glove on his arm. The design was simple and very strange. Other than that, this young man was no different from a savage. Zhao Ritian. When the hairy young man saw Zhao Ritian, he suddenly trembled and revealed an extremely joyful expression. You recognize me? Who are you? Are you in cahoots with those bastards from the celestial demon emperor city? Zhao Ritian's eyes suddenly revealed an extremely cautious look. He was sure that he had never seen this young man before. He was extremely unfamiliar. Cough cough. I know you, but you don't know me. I've been here for 3,000 years. Is the Eternal Emperor Road still around? Has anyone obtained the secret of transcendence? What's going on outside? The hairy young man coughed lightly and quickly asked with an expectant face. 3,000 years? Are you kidding me? It's only been 30 years since the Eternal Emperor Road opened. Who are you? Zhao Ritian stared at the young man in front of him and asked. Even the three-legged golden crow's face was filled with vigilance. The Grand Sun Primordial Fire surrounded its body as if it would shoot out the Grand Sun Primordial Fire if it sensed any danger. It's only been 30 years? It seems like my guess is right. The flow of time here is indeed different from the outside. Is it 100 times faster? There's still time. As long as I can reach the peak, I'll be able to leave. The hairy young man's eyes suddenly lit up with excitement. Wow. His body shone brightly, and the beard on his face disappeared. The tattered clothes on his body also disappeared, and a black robe appeared. It was as if he had changed into a different person. He had turned into a handsome and extraordinary young man. Brother Ritian, you must be joking. I've been trapped here for 3,000 years. I'm too lazy to dress myself up. The black-robed young man smiled slightly. At the same time, he was extremely emotional. He did not expect to see Zhao Ritian here. This guy was a child of wealth. He had been used by the main body so many times. Perhaps he could use him again. The black-robed young man was Darkling Shao. When he entered the Eternal Emperor Road, he originally planned to kill everyone and let the Demon Lord's name spread throughout the Eternal Emperor Road. However, he did not expect to be trapped in this godforsaken place before he could even enter the celestial demon emperor city. He had been trapped here for 3,000 years. In 3,000 years, not only did his cultivation not improve at all, he was still at the peak of the third heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. Moreover, he had no way of reaching the peak of the celestial demon mountain. When Zhao Ritian appeared, he was about to go crazy from the torture. Who exactly are you? Zhao Ritian was very stubborn. He kept thinking about this question and looked at Dark Ling Xiao with vigilance. Although Dark Ling Xiao looked very unfamiliar, Zhao Ritian felt a sense of familiarity. It was as if he had seen him somewhere before. You can call me Demon Lord. Dark Ling Xiao smiled slightly. Demon Lord? How arrogant. You're from the demon race? Zhao Ritian's eyes flashed coldly and murderous intent surged. He hated the demon race the most in his life. Putting aside the blood feud between the human race and the demon race, the death of Zhao Ritian's father, the Heavenly Emperor, was also related to the demon race's great emperor. Hearing that Dark Ling Xiao was from the demon race, Zhao Ritian's aura rose and he was about to attack. Don't attack. There are millions of formations around here. If you attack, it will cause a chain reaction. No one will be able to survive. Dark Ling Xiao was shocked. He did not expect Zhao Ritian to hate the demon race so much. He quickly stopped him. Rumble. As if confirming Dark Ling Xiao's words. The runes and formations above their heads shone brightly when they sensed Zhao Ritian's aura. A vast pressure locked Zhao Ritian and Dark Ling Xiao in place. It was as if Zhao Ritian dared to attack, a thunderous might would immediately descend and kill them. All the demon race deserved to die. Zhao Ritian gritted his teeth and said. He looked at Dark Ling Xiao with murderous intent. However, he still chose to restrain his aura. Since he could not attack here, it would not be too late to kill Dark Ling Xiao outside. Brother Ritian, I can understand your hatred for the demon race. However, you can't just kill the demon race whenever you see one, right? Just like how there are good and bad people in the human race, there are also good and bad people in the demon race. Dark Ling Xiao said with a bitter smile. If they were to fight, he might not be afraid of Zhao Ritian. Although Zhao Ritian had many powerful trump cards, Dark Ling Xiao had the demonic armor. The demonic armor was far more terrifying than an extreme emperor weapon. You're saying that you're a good person? Zhao Ritian looked at Dark Ling Xiao suspiciously. No matter what, he could sense that Dark Ling Xiao was not a good person. Dark Ling Xiao's murderous aura was overwhelming. It was obvious that he had killed many people. Of course I'm a good person. There are those in the human race who are close to the demon race. They're called human traitors. There are also those in the human race who are close to the human race. They're called demon traitors. You're lucky that I'm a demon traitor. I hate the demon race. I hope that the human race can conquer the demon world and rule the demon race. Dark Ling Xiao said with an unnatural expression. He was speaking from the bottom of his heart. Although he had the physical body of a demon race, he was still Ling Xiao's clone. Naturally, he was not embarrassed when he said that. Demon traitor? Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow were stunned. Was there anyone who was proud of being a demon traitor? For a moment, they could not figure out Dark Ling Xiao's thoughts. All in all, Brother Ritian, I don't have any enmity against you. In fact, I admire you. Since we're in the Heaven Demon Mountain, why don't we climb to the peak together? Not only is there a way out of the mountain, but there's also a powerful inheritance. Dark Ling Xiao said with utmost sincerity. The fact that he was Ling Xiao's clone was his biggest secret. He could not tell anyone, not even Zhao Ritian. Moreover, Zhao Ritian did not seem reliable. If he was not the son of a heavenly emperor, he would have been killed a long time ago. First, tell me why you've been trapped here for 3,000 years. Is there something strange about the Heaven Demon Mountain? Zhao Ritian asked non-committally. That's right. The Heaven Demon Mountain has a no-fly zone. It's surrounded by layers of formations that contain extreme emperor aura. It's extremely terrifying. From my observation, I've discovered that there are at least 1 million formations here. Dark Ling Xiao said slowly. He thought to himself that Zhao Ritian was not stupid after all. 1 million formations? Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow were shocked. That's right. Therefore you can enter the Heaven Demon Mountain, but you can't leave. The entire Heaven Demon Mountain is a forbidden area. Only this white jade staircase can lead to the peak. However, there's a formation on each of the white jade staircase. If you want to reach the peak, you'll have to break the formations continuously. The reason why I've been trapped here for 3,000 years is because I've been breaking the formations continuously. Dark Ling Xiao said with a wry smile. In the past 3,000 years, his attainments and formations had improved by leaps and bounds. However, Dark Ling Zhao's time in the past 3,000 years was also extremely miserable. 1,000,000 stone staircases meant 1,000,000 formations. The higher he went, the more terrifying the formation's power was. Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow were skeptical of Dark Ling Zhao's words. However, after they checked, their expressions turned extremely ugly. Indeed, there was a formation on each of the stone staircases. Moreover, these formations seemed to be one with the Heaven Demon Mountain. Even if the formations were broken, the formations would be restored. If one fell from the mountain, they would have to start all over again. The densely packed white jade staircase made one feel despair just by looking at it. 1,000,000 formations protecting this Heaven Demon Mountain. There must be a powerful inheritance on it that defies the heavens. Zhao Ritian said with a burning gaze. Isn't that so? However, my attainments and formations are too weak. That's why I've been trapped here for 3,000 years. However, Brother Ritian is the son of the Emperor of Heaven. You have great luck and fortune. I'm sure breaking the formations should be a piece of cake for you. Dark Ling Xiao said with a smile. These formations may be powerful, but they can't stop me, Zhao Ritian. Zhao Ritian said with a proud smile. He had just checked and found that the array on the first stone step was only a saint rank array. However, the formation on the second stone staircase was much more powerful. However, Zhao Ritian was not worried at all. In his opinion, breaking the formation was such a troublesome thing. Why bother? As long as he was strong enough, he could just push his way up. Then it's up to Brother Ritian. I'm willing to follow Brother Ritian and reach the peak together. Dark Ling Xiao said respectfully. He knew from his main body that Zhao Ritian was someone who could be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. Following him was the right thing to do. Now, it seemed like Zhao Ritian was really going to break the formation. Master, I think this guy has bad intentions. He wants you to help him break the formation. The three-legged golden crow said to Zhao Ritian. Of course I know that. Does he really think I'm stupid? However, there must be a powerful inheritance on this Heaven Demon Mountain. Breaking the formation won't be helping him. I'd like to see if he dares to compete with me for the inheritance. Zhao Ritian said with a disdainful smile. Boom. Zhao Ritian's blood and qi rose. A bright light bloomed and his entire person exuded an otherworldly aura. He looked at the Heaven Demon Mountain in front of him with a proud expression. He took a step forward and stepped onto the white jade staircase. P.S. A 4,000-word chapter. With 2 chapters and the 3 chapters in the morning, I've updated 10,000 words today. Unknowingly, I've already written more than 2,000 chapters. In order to make it easier to split the chapters, I'll combine 2 chapters into one in the future. It'll be 4,000 words per chapter. From now on, Twilight Rain will publish as much as she writes. The daily update will not be less than 4,000 words. Everyone rest early. Peak. Chapter 32-25. The blood qi around Zhao Ritian was like a dragon, as if it was cast in gold. The golden glow caused the surrounding void to tremble slightly. This was the bloodline of the Heavenly Emperor. It was majestic and majestic. Even though the Heavenly Emperor had fallen, it was still a reminder of his existence in another way. Zhao Ritian is the son of the Heavenly Emperor. He has many trump cards. Perhaps he can reach the peak faster than me? As long as he can reach the peak within 3,000 years, I can still make it to the Eternal Emperor Road. Dark Ling Xiao thought to himself as he looked at Zhao Ritian with anticipation. These millions of formations had tortured him for 3,000 years, causing him to lose his temper. Now he could only place his hopes on Zhao Ritian. Maybe I don't need 3,000 years. Maybe 1,000 years will be enough. For some reason, after seeing Zhao Ritian, Dark Ling Xiao felt a little more confident in himself. Boom. Zhao Ritian took a step onto the white jade stone steps. The void trembled as the runes exploded. The formation on the stone steps popped like a bubble and burst apart. Zhao Ritian chose to break the formation with brute force? But the formation at the back is not something that can be broken with brute force. Dark Ling Xiao was surprised. Boom. Zhao Ritian took another step forward, and the array on the second stone step instantly shattered as well. Just like that, every time Zhao Ritian took a step, a formation would burst. It was as if they could not stop Zhao Ritian at all. They burst like bubbles. How is this possible? Dark High Firmament's eyes widened in disbelief. Zhao Ritian had already ascended more than 100 stone steps. According to his experience with darkness soaring firmament, the array above the 100 stone steps had to be found in order to break through. However, Zhao Ritian was still trying to break through the array with brute force. None of the grand arrays seemed to be able to stop Zhao Ritian as they all shattered beneath his feet. 100 stone steps, 200 stone steps, 1,000 stone steps, 2,000 stone steps. In the end, Dark Lingxiao's face turned green. Damn it. Those formations have no effect on Zhao Ritian? Damn it. Why is he so interested in me? Dark Lingxiao gritted his teeth and said, feeling extremely depressed in his heart. Only now did he finally see it clearly. It was not Zhao Ritian breaking the arrays with brute force. It was clear that the arrays melted like snow after sensing Zhao Ritian's aura. To Dark Soaring Sky, the million arrays were like a giant beast. However, to Zhao Ritian they were like a million bubbles. In other words, Zhao Ritian did not break the formation at all. He was just climbing the mountain normally. With Zhao Ritian's speed, how could it take him 3,000 years? Zhao Ritian would probably reach the peak in less than 3 days. Is this the luck and fortune of the son of the Celestial Emperor? Dark Firmament's heart was filled with bitterness, and he felt a toothache. In the demonic world he killed decisively. No one in the same realm as him was his match. He had also obtained the inheritance of the Chaos Demonic clan, and was known as the Demonic Lord. He was extremely proud. But today he understood the taste of jealousy. That Devil Master, right? Is this the million-strong array you mentioned? There's no difficulty at all. You've actually been trapped here for 3,000 years? Zhao Ritian stood on the stone steps and turned around to look at Dark Firmament. His eyes were filled with doubt. From Zhao Ritian's point of view, there was indeed a grand formation on each of the stone steps. However, the grand formations were pitifully weak. In fact, he did not even need to lift a finger for the grand formations to be destroyed. Such a weak array could actually trap that guy who was known as the Demon Lord? How weak was that guy? Dark Firmament's face darkened. He felt as though a million divine beasts were roaring in his heart. I don't believe it today. Is Zhao Ritian really the son of the Celestial Emperor? Damn it, I'm not convinced. Dark Firmament cursed in his heart. With a darkened face, he ran up the white jade steps. Rumble. On the stone steps, the arrays shone brightly. Runes rose up as though they were completely awakened, bursting with terrifying energy. Dark Firmament was surrounded by a monstrous demonic aura. His aura was incomparably terrifying. He was too lazy to break the arrays. Instead, he charged into the arrays with brute force. In an instant, he broke through hundreds of arrays. However, Dark Firmament realized that the higher he went, the greater the pressure. The power of the arrays even stacked together. It was like a tsunami that pressed down on his body. The higher he went, the slower his speed became. Damn it! Dark Firmament roared in his heart. He was incomparably angry. He could feel the deep malice of the demonic mountain. When Dark Firmament stepped on the 1,000th stone step, the invincible divine power surged and suppressed his body in an instant, blasting him down from the stone steps. Bang! Dark Firmament was like a huge rock as he crashed into the foot of the mountain, creating a human-shaped crater. These arrays are so terrifying. It seems that the Devil Master didn't lie to me. However, why didn't the arrays react to me? Zhao Ritian was stunned. Looking at the scene before him, he realized that the Devil Master was not weak. It was just that the million-strong arrays were not targeting him. Instead, they were all targeting the Devil Master. How pitiful. Master, you are indeed the illegitimate son of the heavenly axiom. On Zhao Ritian's shoulder, the three-legged golden crow looked at Dark Firmament with sympathy. His admiration for Zhao Ritian was incomparable. What was luck? This was luck. Dark Firmament lay at the foot of the demonic mountain. He felt very hurt. and his face was full of despair. "Master, should we help this guy? How pitiful, he has been trapped for 3,000 years. The three-legged golden crow said in a muffled voice. "The people of the demonic clan are all evil people. Why should I care about his death? Let him be trapped here until he dies." Zhao Ritian sneered. His eyes were full of pride. Although they could not fight here, it was a good idea to let Dark Firmament be trapped here until he dies. Let's bring him along. He has Firmament's aura on him. He should be related to Firmament. At that moment, an old voice rang in Zhao Ritian's mind. "Second Master, you're awake?" Zhao Ritian's eyes lit up as he asked in surprise. Previously, after entering the Eternal Emperor Road, the Second Master fell into a deep sleep for some reason. Now he was finally awake. Without the Second Master, Zhao Ritian felt like he had lost his backbone. "You said that this guy has Firmament's aura on him? Could he really be a demonic traitor?" Zhao Ritian's face was full of suspicion. "It's possible. However, the aura on his body is hidden very well. If I didn't know Firmament very well, and if he didn't accidentally leak it when he was charging the array, I wouldn't have noticed it." The Second Master said slowly. "If that's the case, let's bring him along. This guy has been trapped for 3,000 years. He's really pitiful." Zhao Ritian nodded and said. Dark Firmament struggled to stand up. He looked extremely sad. However, he realized that Zhao Ritian was walking down the demonic mountain step by step. "Demon Lord. You dare to call yourself the Demon Lord with your weak cultivation? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at? Do you want to leave this place? As long as you beg me, I'll bring you away." Zhao Ritian looked at Darkness Lingxiao for a moment and laughed proudly. "Brother Ritian, please bring me away from this place. If there's any inheritance or treasure at the peak of the demonic mountain, I don't want anything. I'll just follow you from now on. How about that?" Darkness Lingxiao resisted the urge to tear apart Zhao Ritian's smug face as he squeezed out a smile and said, "Fine. Seeing that you're so sincere, I'll bring you away from here. However, after we leave this place, you'll be my guard. Don't be soft-hearted when you see the demonic tribe. Do you understand?" Zhao Ritian stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the sky at a 45-degree angle, and smiled faintly. "Understood. Don't worry, Brother Ritian. I'll be your guard from now on. I'll kill whoever you ask me to." Dark Firmament nodded repeatedly. However, he was gritting his teeth in anger. This Zhao Ritian was asking for a beating. After leaving the demonic mountain, he would beat this guy up no matter what. However, Dark Firmament had his doubts. The demonic chi on the demonic mountain was extremely pure. Logically speaking, even if there was a powerful inheritance, it should be related to the demonic tribe. However, why was Zhao Ritian not affected by the formation? Could it be that this place had something to do with the Heavenly Emperor? That's right. If that's the case, then come with me. Zhao Ritian nodded satisfyingly. Golden blood chi surged around his body, enveloping Dark Firmament. Then he stepped onto the white jade stairs. Just as Dark Firmament had guessed, with the protection of Zhao Ritian's golden blood chi, the formation did not react to him at all and shattered one after another. Zhao Ritian stood with his hands behind his back, strolling leisurely towards the peak of the demonic mountain. His expression was calm, but the arrogance and pride in his eyes could not be concealed. "Damn it, I've been hunting geese all day. But now I've been pecked in the eye by the geese. Looks like my original body was right. This Zhao Ritian's luck is heaven-defying to the extreme. Perhaps it's not a bad idea to follow him. This guy doesn't look too smart. If he comes across any treasure, I'm afraid it'll be easy to trick him." Dark Firmament secretly thought to himself. Originally, he wanted to teach Zhao Ritian a lesson after leaving the demonic mountain. However, he changed his mind now. It might be more useful to coax Zhao Ritian. Just like that, the demonic mountain that had trapped Dark Firmament for 3,000 years was like flat ground under Zhao Ritian's feet. They headed towards the peak of the demonic mountain. The surroundings were filled with clouds and mist. Demonic chi rose and chaotic light bloomed. It was a strange scene. Although the formation's power was not activated, Zhao Ritian could still feel the terror of the formation on the demonic mountain. The Extreme Emperor's aura filled the air, as if it could destroy everything. This was definitely a Supreme Emperor formation. If it were not for Zhao Ritian, Dark Firmament would probably be trapped here forever. It would be almost impossible for him to break out of the flawless Emperor formation. The demonic mountain was millions of miles tall. It was like a heavenly pillar that connected heaven and earth. Its aura was grand, ancient and majestic. However, under Zhao Ritian's feet, there were no obstacles. It was like a smooth path to the heavens. Soon, the peak of the mountain was in sight. On the peak of the mountain, chaotic mist lingered. An ancient pine tree stood on the peak, exuding an eternal and immortal aura. For some reason, when Zhao Ritian and Dark Firmament saw the ancient pine tree, they both felt a strong and endless vitality. This is, Second Uncle's voice rang in Zhao Ritian's mind. It was filled with surprise and excitement. Second Uncle, you recognize this place? Are there any treasures here? Zhao Ritian's eyes lit up. Quickly go up. It's a fortune. It's really a great fortune. Second Eldest Uncle urged with great excitement. Hearing Second Uncle's words, Zhao Ritian did not hesitate at all. He quickly walked up to the peak of the demonic mountain. Just as they reached the peak of the demonic mountain, the surrounding void vibrated. Chaotic mist rose, and the ancient pine tree emitted a bright light. An incomparably gentle light enveloped Dark Firmament, Zhao Ritian, and the three-legged golden crow. Majestic vitality surged and surged into their bodies, causing their bodies to tremble. They instantly felt incomparably comfortable. Especially Dark Firmament. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the third heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. After being suppressed here for 3,000 years, his foundation was incomparably strong. Now that he had absorbed a trace of vitality, he actually showed signs of breaking through. On the ancient pine tree, there were 2 pine cones. One was completely golden and crystal clear like glass, while the other was completely black and surrounded by pure demonic qi. It's really a fruit of the Great Path. Ha ha ha, Ritian, you're really going to be rich this time. However, I'm afraid that Demon Lord is going to benefit. I didn't expect there to be a fruit of the Great Path with demonic attributes. Second Uncle's voice sounded. He was extremely excited. Second Uncle, what's a fruit of the Great Path? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. A fruit of the Great Path is a fruit of the Great Path condensed in the body of a great emperor. It contains the Taoist rhyme of a great path, and is extremely precious. If a peerless imperial emperor obtains a fruit of the Great Path, and comprehends the Taoist rhyme within, there's a chance for him to become an emperor. Second Uncle explained. What? After swallowing a fruit of the Great Path, there's a chance for him to become an emperor? Zhao Ritian was also shocked. His eyes were filled with incomparable shock. This was indeed a heaven-defying treasure. No wonder Second Uncle was so excited. If a peerless imperial emperor was here, and saw these 2 fruits of the Great Path, he would probably rush over to fight for them. Why are there fruits of the Great Path here? Zhao Ritian asked doubtfully. If I'm not wrong, there should be 2 great emperors buried in Heaven Demon Mountain. Their Taoist rhyme transformed into heaven and earth, and at the same time, a trace of Taoist rhyme remained. Under extremely special conditions, it was nurtured for hundreds of millions of years before it could condense a fruit of the Great Path. Second Uncle said with great emotion. There are 2 great emperors buried in Heaven Demon Mountain? Zhao Ritian was also shocked. One of them should be a great emperor of the demon race. As for the other one, I'm not sure. However, you don't have to think about it. They should have perished together after a great battle. That's why they transformed into Taoist rhyme, and condensed a fruit of the Great Path. As for the rest, there shouldn't be anything left. Second Uncle seemed to understand Zhao Ritian's thoughts and explained. Then, where did this million-heavy formation come from? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. It was obvious that the million-heavy formation was deliberately set up by someone. It was not naturally formed. If I'm not wrong, this million-heavy formation should have been left behind by the Heavenly Emperor. At that time, he should have also discovered the fruits of the Great Path. However, the fruits of the Great Path had not ripened yet. That's why he set up the formation. That's why the formation did not have any effect on you after sensing the aura of your bloodline. second uncle said with some emotion. My father? Zhao Ritian's eyes revealed a hint of a complicated expression. He did not expect it to be another legacy of the Heavenly Emperor. However, what puzzled him was that this million-heavy formation was clearly a Supreme Emperor formation. Moreover, it was a complete Supreme Emperor formation. When the Heavenly Emperor conquered Eternal Emperor Road, he had not yet proven his Tao and became an emperor. How did he set up a perfect Supreme Emperor formation? Although swallowing the fruits of the Great Path will not allow you to immediately prove your Tao and become a sage, it will allow you to overcome any bottlenecks before becoming a great emperor. Even if you prove your Tao in the future, you will have a better chance than others. This is the foundation of proving your Tao. You must not miss it, second uncle said slowly. Chapter 32-26. Arriving at the peak of Demonic Mountain, Dark Lingxiao's gaze immediately fell on the black pine cone. Although Dark Lingxiao did not know what it was, he instinctively felt that it was an incredible treasure. The three-legged golden crow looked at the two fruits of the Great Path with shining eyes and drooling. The fruits of the Great Path were ethereal and mysterious. They would show various shapes, just like the pine cone in front of them. It was not a real pine cone. However, the ethereal and mysterious aura of the Great Path on the fruits of the Great Path could not be faked. Divine chains of order intertwined and the runes were dazzling. The fruits of the Great Path looked as if they had been blessed by fate. They were extremely mysterious and had a soul-stirring power. Boom. As if sensing the aura of the fruits of the Great Path, Dark Lingxiao, Zhao Ritian, and the three-legged golden crow unconsciously released their aura. Dark Lingxiao was surrounded by a monstrous demonic aura. Chaotic light surged and a murderous aura filled the air. It was as if he was a chaotic demon from ancient times, exuding an unparalleled aura. On the other hand, Zhao Ritian was covered in golden light. His golden armor was extraordinary, making him look like a god descending from the heavens. His eyes contained the sun and the moon, as well as the starry sky. The three-legged golden crow's body was covered in flames. The true sunfire was extremely hot, as if it could burn everything. The three-legged golden crow bathed in the true sunfire, exuding a royal aura. Buzz. The ancient pine tree in front of them trembled slightly. The two fruits of the Great Path seemed to have sensed their aura and instantly flew over like a stream of light, directly merging into Dark Lingxiao and Zhao Ritian's bodies. After the fruits of the Great Path fell, the ancient pine tree turned into a majestic life force. It was vast and unparalleled, like a heavenly river crossing the sky and merging into the three-legged golden crow's body. Rumble. Chaotic light instantly rose around Dark Lingxiao, Zhao Ritian, and the three-legged golden crow. It was as if flames were burning, enveloping all three of them. That guy took advantage of me. A thought flashed through Zhao Ritian's mind. He was instinctively unhappy. In fact, he did not want to give the demonic fruit of the Great Path to Dark Lingxiao. However, he did not expect the fruit of the Great Path to choose its owner. Zhao Ritian had no time to think. He sat down cross-legged on the demonic mountain and began to refine the fruit of the way. When the fruit of the Great Path entered his body, it was as if the primordial chaos had split the heaven and earth apart. It directly exploded, and the bright light enveloped his entire body. The majestic origin energy was like a raging river. It was incomparably pure, pushing Zhao Ritian's aura to skyrocket. However, the origin energy within the fruit of the way was only secondary. The most important thing was the Taoist rhyme it contained. Zhao Ritian's body glowed brightly as a faint smile appeared on his face. It was as if he had just been enlightened. There was the sound of a bell ringing in his ears as a mysterious Taoist rhyme gushed into his sea of consciousness. His indestructible primordial spirit began to comprehend it. Zhao Ritian's primordial spirit became increasingly clear and translucent. It also emitted a transcendent aura. It was the same for Dark Lingxiao. The black fruit of the Great Path contained the purest heavenly demon Taoist rhyme. It echoed in his ears, making him suddenly enlightened. It was as if all the truths of heaven and earth had appeared in front of him clearly. Dark Lingxiao was a clone of Dark Lingxiao from the origin demonic bone. Later on, he cultivated the Darkness Imperial Scripture, and the light imperial scripture at the same time. He comprehended both the great path of darkness and the great path of light at the same time. However, when Dark Lingxiao transformed into a chaos demon, the great path of darkness and the great path of light also merged into the primordial chaos at the same time. Therefore, Dark Lingxiao was now comprehending the great path of chaos. His entire body was immersed in the great path of chaos. His aura began to skyrocket rapidly. His cultivation that had not improved for 3,000 years also rapidly broke through. Fourth heaven of the Imperial Emperor Realm. Early fourth heaven of the Imperial Emperor Realm. Middle fourth heaven of the Imperial Emperor Realm. Late fourth heaven of the Imperial Emperor Realm. Complete fourth heaven of the Imperial Emperor Realm. The majestic origin energy contained in the fruit of the Great Path was incomparably pure. Coupled with the supreme Taoist rhyme within it, Dark Lingxiao's cultivation began to improve by leaps and bounds. Although the three-legged golden crow only obtained the life essence contained in the ancient pine tree, it was also mixed with a trace of Taoist rhyme. It was enough to allow its cultivation to break through to the fourth heaven of the Imperial Emperor Realm. The heaven-defying fortune on Demonic Mountain caused the cultivation of Zhao Ritian, Dark Lingxiao, and the three-legged golden crow to improve by leaps and bounds. Just as they sat cross-legged on the peak of Demonic Mountain, comprehending the Taoist rhyme, refining the fruit of the Great Path, and improving their cultivation, they did not know that a dazzling phenomenon was blooming in Demonic Abyss. Demonic Mountain rumbled, as if there were bolts of lightning interweaving. It was mysterious and vast. At the same time, it bloomed with thousands of rays of light and thousands of auspicious colors, shocking the entire Demonic Abyss. The demonic chi and the primordial mist that enveloped Demonic Mountain also began to slowly dissipate. The million formations were also gradually destroyed. The power source of the million formations was Demonic Mountain, and the fruit of the Great Path. Now that the fruit of the Great Path had an owner, the million formations lost their meaning of existence. The originally mysterious Demonic Mountain, which was full of all kinds of dangers, appeared in Demonic Abyss for the first time. What's that? Could it be that a rare treasure has appeared? Let's go and take a look. Maybe Zhao Ritian is there. At this moment, a group of trial takers in Demonic Abyss were also alarmed by the phenomenon that erupted on Demonic Mountain. They were the trial takers who were chasing after Zhao Ritian. Especially the four powerhouses in the lead. Their cultivation had already reached the eighth heaven of the Imperial Emperor Realm. They were only one step away from becoming a peerless Imperial Emperor. At this moment, all the trial takers were a little scared. They could not help but look in the direction of Demonic Mountain. The Taoist rhyme there was intertwined with order. It was as if there was something precious, causing them to involuntarily yearn for it. Under the lead of the four powerhouses, many trial takers flew towards Demonic Mountain. In Demonic Abyss, many powerful prehistoric demonic beasts were also alarmed. One by one, they let out earth-shattering roars. Although in the memories of those prehistoric demonic beasts, Demonic Mountain was a forbidden area and they would definitely die if they entered, the phenomenon at this moment still made them involuntarily approach. There were even some prehistoric mutants who forcefully suppressed the fear and panic in their hearts and headed towards Demonic Mountain. Because of the phenomenon on Demonic Mountain, the entire Demonic Abyss seemed to have begun to shake. However, the test in Demonic Emperor City had not yet begun, so there were no other trial takers. Otherwise, Demonic Abyss would be even more chaotic. Among the many trial takers, the four leaders were called Emperor Demonic Spirit, Emperor Demonic Flame, Emperor Absolute Sword, and Emperor Tianxiang. The four of them were also famous among the trial takers in Demonic Emperor City. This time, the four of them were also the leaders of the hunt for Zhao Ritian. The four of them had extremely powerful cultivation bases. In addition to the help of many trial takers, their strength was monstrous. Otherwise, Zhao Ritian would not have fled. Soon, the four emperors arrived at Demonic Mountain. At this moment, the demonic chi and chaotic mist around Demonic Mountain had dissipated. The million formations had also returned to nothingness. The no-fly zone had disappeared, allowing them to easily fly to the peak of Demonic Mountain. That was also the source of the phenomenon on Demonic Mountain. It really is Zhao Ritian. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the four emperors as they saw Zhao Ritian sitting cross-legged on the peak of Demonic Mountain. At this moment, Darkness Lingxiao, Zhao Ritian, and the three-legged golden crow were surrounded by Taoist rhymes. Their auras were unfathomable. In particular, the Taoist rhymes that permeated their surroundings made the four great emperors' eyes burn with passion. This is Demonic Mountain. Originally, Demonic Mountain was a forbidden area. Anyone who entered would die. Now that it has become like this, they must have obtained some treasure. Emperor Demonic Spirit said greedily. That's right. No wonder we couldn't find any trace of Zhao Ritian. It turns out that he hid in Demonic Mountain. This kid is really lucky. He actually profited from a disaster. Emperor Demonic Flame's eyes were also filled with jealousy. He clearly saw that Zhao Ritian's cultivation was originally only at the 6th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm, but now he had broken through to the 7th heaven of the Imperial Emperor realm. He had already entered the high-level Imperial Emperor realm. Fellow Taoists, this Zhao Ritian is said to be the son of the Celestial Emperor. He has many trump cards, and is not easy to deal with. Let's attack together and kill him. We'll split the fortune equally. How about that? Emperor Tianxiang's eyes flashed as he smiled charmingly. Agreed. Agreed. The other three emperors nodded at the same time. Greed filled their eyes as blazing killing intent rose. The four emperors secretly reached an agreement through voice transmission. They no longer hesitated. With an order, they charged towards Darkness Lingxiao and the other two together with the other cultivators. Rumble. Rays of blazing divine light rose as powerful weapons erupted with peerless divine power. Terrifying attacks gathered into a torrent that enveloped Darkness Lingxiao and the other two. At this moment, runes rose around Darkness Lingxiao, Zhao Ritian, and the three-legged golden crow. Order intertwined, and the aura of the Great Path condensed, forming a huge transparent barrier that protected the three of them. The terrifying attacks blasted on the barrier, causing a rumble that shook heaven and earth. However, it did not affect the barrier at all. How could this be? The four great imperial emperors shuddered. Their eyes were filled with bewilderment. Boom, boom, boom. Darkness Lingxiao, Zhao Ritian, and the three-legged golden crow seemed to have sensed the attack from the outside world. Dazzling light burst out from their bodies and soared into the sky like smoke signals. They opened their eyes at the same time. You're courting death. Darkness Lingxiao's eyes were filled with killing intent. His aura was extremely cold, and his body emitted a monstrous murderous aura. He instantly shot into the sky and punched towards Emperor Demonic Spirit. Peak 5th Heaven Imperial Emperor Realm. After refining the fruit of the Great Tao, Darkness Lingxiao's cultivation had broken through two small realms. He threw out a punch, and his demonic armor also emitted a strange light. The void seemed to have solidified. The unparalleled fist contained an unparalleled power that could split the heavens and earth, and instantly enveloped Emperor Demonic Spirit. You're courting death. Emperor Demonic Spirit was furious. His hair and beard fluttered as monstrous demonic aura rose from his body. It was like chains that wrapped around Darkness Lingxiao. At the same time, he opened his mouth and spat out a black light beam that pierced through the void and shot towards Darkness Lingxiao's forehead. Boom. Darkness Lingxiao's eyes were incomparably cold as killing intent surged around him. His unparalleled fist broke through everything, annihilating the black beam of light and the chains formed by the surrounding demonic chi. In an instant, he arrived in front of Emperor Demon Spirit. What? Emperor Demonic Spirit's body trembled as his eyes were filled with disbelief. The expressions of the surrounding three imperial emperors also changed drastically. They shouted angrily and charged towards Darkness Lingxiao, wanting to save Emperor Demonic Spirit. They didn't expect that this black-robed youth, who was only a 5th Heaven Imperial Emperor, would be so ferocious that even Emperor Demonic Spirit fell into a dangerous situation. Boom. Darkness Lingxiao seemed to ignore the three Imperial Emperors. Killing intent surged in his eyes as he locked onto Emperor Demonic Spirit. The demonic armor contained a power that could seal, destroy, and freeze everything. It instantly landed on Emperor Demonic Spirit's chest. Emperor Demonic Spirit's body trembled as his eyes suddenly popped out. After that, the other three imperial monarchs saw an extremely horrifying scene. Emperor Demonic Spirit seemed to have been drained of all his vitality in an instant. His entire body turned into ashes and disappeared between heaven and earth. What? The Demonic Flame Emperor, the Solitary Sword Emperor, and the Celestial Incense Emperor all shuddered. They retreated as if they were facing a great enemy, pulling apart the distance between them and Darkness Lingxiao. Their eyes were filled with uncertainty. Emperor Demonic Spirit was a veteran imperial emperor with many tricks up his sleeve. He could even hold on for a period of time in the hands of a peerless imperial emperor. But now he couldn't even withstand a single punch from Darkness Lingxiao. Moreover, he was killed in such a strange way. You? Who exactly are you? Emperor Demonic Flame was shocked and furious as he stared at Darkness Lingxiao and said coldly. Darkness Lingxiao stood in the air, his expression incomparably cold and callous. The baleful aura around him towered up to the heavens. His demonic armor glowed with a blood-red light, as though the life force he had devoured was being absorbed by the demonic armor, while the rest was being absorbed by Darkness Lingxiao. Darkness Lingxiao stood there like a peerless demon. His might was unparalleled and terrifying to the extreme. So powerful. Zhao Ritian's pupils suddenly constricted as he took a deep look at Darkness Lingxiao. He knew how powerful Emperor Demonic Spirit was and naturally knew how much power was needed to kill Emperor Demonic Spirit with a single punch. Darkness Lingxiao wasn't as weak as he had imagined. Instead, he was extremely powerful. After breaking free, he no longer had the same attitude as before. Instead, he became cruel and cold with unparalleled demonic might. Regardless, Darkness Lingxiao was now a friend and not an enemy. Zhao Ritian rode the three-legged golden crow to Darkness Lingxiao's side and stood side by side with him. Let's see who can kill more people. How about that? Darkness Lingxiao smiled at Zhao Ritian indifferently. His smile was evil and cold. Vulgar. Let's do it. Who's afraid of who? Zhao Ritian smiled proudly. If you lose, then you'll be my follower. Darkness Lingxiao said provocatively. Bastard. That's not what you said before. You said you'll follow me and obey my orders. Are you going back on your words? Zhao Ritian said angrily. If you want to be the big brother, you must have the strength to be the big brother. If you win, I'll naturally keep my promise. But if you lose, do you think you're qualified for me to follow you? Darkness Lingxiao smiled faintly. Let's do it. Let me tell you, I want you as my follower. After being provoked by Darkness Lingxiao, Zhao Ritian immediately agreed without hesitation. His eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. It's a deal. Darkness Lingxiao smiled faintly as the corner of his lips curled up. This silly kid took the bait. Chapter 32-27. I am the Demon Lord. Darkness Lingxiao's lips curled into a cruel smile. His eyes were cold and filled with bloodthirsty killing intent. He soared into the sky, and the demonic aura around him surged into the sky. Chaotic light spewed out, and an ancient and ferocious aura spread out. It was as if an ancient divine demon had come to this world, causing the faces of the trial takers to change drastically. Most of the trial takers before him were from the demon clan. When they heard Darkness Lingxiao's arrogant words, they were all shocked and furious. However, before they could reprimand Dark Soaring Heavens had already charged over. Crack! The demonic armor released a blazing light that connected with Darkness Lingxiao's aura, causing his aura to become extremely terrifying. Darkness Lingxiao threw out a punch. The demonic armor was ancient, as if an ancient demonic mountain was about to descend. A few trial takers were caught off guard and could not block Darkness Lingxiao's punch at all. The moment they came into contact with the demonic armor, they exploded into a bloody mist. Although it was not difficult for an imperial emperor to be reborn from a drop of blood, the demonic armor did not give them any chance at all. Their flesh and primordial spirits were instantly devoured by the demonic armor. Streaks of bright red blood appeared on the black demonic armor, making it look even more sinister. The demonic armor's power merged with Zhao Ritian's, allowing him to unleash an extremely terrifying combat strength. He was like a tiger that had entered a flock of sheep, slaughtering the trial takers. Damn it! Where did Zhao Ritian find such a helper? How can he be so strong? The Demonic Flame Emperor, Absolute Sword Emperor, and Sky Incense Emperor's expressions were extremely ugly, and they were extremely puzzled. Although Darkness Lingxiao's cultivation was only at the mid-level Imperial Emperor, he unleashed a power that was extremely terrifying for a high-level Imperial Emperor. Xiao-san, we can't fall behind. These bastards dared to hunt us down before. Today we'll make them pay with interest. Zhao Ritian also let out a loud roar as he charged towards the crowd of challengers. After refining the fruit of Dao, Zhao Ritian's cultivation had skyrocketed, and his strength had also increased by a lot. At this moment he hated these trial takers to the core, so he did not show any mercy. Rumble. The Yen Emperor Cauldron soared into the sky like a mountain, ancient and majestic. It spewed out endless Yen Emperor's fire, turning the area into a sea of fire. Sword Qi surged from Zhao Ritian's hand as the Heavenly Dao Emperor sword appeared. This was the Emperor sword that once belonged to the Heavenly Emperor. As soon as it appeared, it gave off a chilling glow. Sword Qi swept across hundreds of millions of miles, cleaving through the 9 heavens with a single strike. The Heavenly Dao Emperor sword was extremely sharp. Sword Qi surged into the clouds and could destroy everything. Those cultivators with lower cultivation levels were unable to withstand the Heavenly Dao Emperor sword and died in the hands of Zhao Ritian. The 3-legged golden crow also emitted a dazzling glow. The true fire of the sun rose and fell from the sky like sharp swords. Its aura was vast and mighty, and it emitted the pressure of an emperor. This prehistoric divine beast had once shone brilliantly in the ancient times. Although it was usually very obedient in front of Zhao Ritian, it still revealed its ferocious side at this moment. Some of the low-level and mid-level emperors were engulfed by the true fire of the sun, and were instantly injured. Then, the 3-legged golden crow opened its blood basin, and swallowed them into its stomach. Zhao Ritian took out the Emperor Yen Cauldron, and the Heavenly Dao Emperor sword at the same time. With the 3-legged golden crow, the speed at which he killed the cultivators was not inferior to Darkness Lingxiao. The two of them were like 2 prehistoric beasts that plunged into the crowd of cultivators. They broke through the formation of the cultivators and started a massacre. There were at least a few hundred challengers chasing after Zhao Ritian. Previously, under the leadership of the 4 great emperors, they formed a powerful formation. In addition, there were more and more cultivators gathering. Zhao Ritian did not dare to fight and could only flee. Now, with the addition of Darkness Lingxiao, he was like a prehistoric beast that scattered the cultivators. He killed in all directions, making it impossible for them to form an effective counterattack. Most of the hundreds of trial takers were low-level and mid-level Imperial Emperors. These people were no match for Darkness Soaring Sky and Zhao Ritian. They were all killed by them. In the end, the cultivators were scared out of their wits. Many of them began to flee in all directions. Boom! Darkness Lingxiao's demonic aura was monstrous. His demonic armor had turned blood red. It was unknown how many living beings it had devoured. It was extremely strange. He punched out and stopped the Demonic Flame Emperor, who was trying to escape. He smashed his body into pieces. The Demonic Flame Emperor's primordial spirit struggled to escape, but it was smashed into pieces by the demonic armor and devoured. Zhao Ritian's Heavenly Dao Emperor sword was incomparably sharp. It constantly clashed with the Absolute Sword Emperor, causing him to tremble and retreat. In the end, the Emperor Yen Cauldron suppressed him and killed him completely. In the blink of an eye, 3 of the 4 great emperors were dead. Only the Heavenly Incense Emperor was left. The Heavenly Incense Emperor was beautiful and had a voluptuous figure. However, at this moment, she was pale and her face was pale. 3 of the 4 great emperors were dead. Originally, the cultivators who were ready to capture and kill Zhao Ritian were now either dead or running away. All that was left were corpses all over the ground. It was like a scene straight out of hell. The strength of Darkness Lingxiao and Zhao Ritian had exceeded her imagination. The Heavenly Incense Emperor wanted to escape, but she did not have the chance. Zhao Ritian and Darkness Lingxiao had stopped her. "Let me go. I promise that I will never be your enemy again. If you don't believe me, I can swear a heavenly Tao oath. The heavenly incense emperor's face was pale as she gritted her teeth and said, although she looked very calm, her heart was incomparably flustered, and her voice unconsciously trembled a little. Let you go? You're overthinking it. Since you dare to hunt me down, you should be prepared to die. Zhao Ritian said with killing intent. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The heavenly Tao emperor's sword emitted a strange light. The sword aura rose and was extremely sharp. The Emperor Yan cauldron was ancient and mysterious. It floated in the void. The Emperor Yan's flames surged and could burn everything. The two extreme Tao Emperor weapons had locked onto the heavenly incense emperor. She did not dare to act rashly. The heavenly incense emperor's face instantly turned pale, and a trace of despair appeared in his eyes. She was already injured. Now that she was locked onto by darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian, she knew that she could not escape. Her body began to tremble. Even if she was an emperor, she would not be so calm in the face of death. Between life and death, there was great terror. Just when the heavenly incense emperor thought that she was going to die, darkness Ling Xiao stopped Zhao Ritian. Brother Ritian, wait. Why don't you let her live? Darkness Ling Xiao said with a wicked smile. His eyes were filled with aggression. He looked at the heavenly incense emperor in front of him without restraint. It was like a sharp knife, making the heavenly incense emperor uncomfortable. Let her live? What are you trying to do? Zhao Ritian asked curiously. Heavenly incense emperor, if I'm not wrong, you should have the earth cauldron's sacred body, right? Darkness Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. You? How did you know? The heavenly incense emperor's body trembled. Her eyes were filled with shock. Almost no one knew that she had the earth cauldron's sacred body. Moreover, she knew how tempting the earth cauldron's sacred body was. Therefore, she had concealed it with a secret technique. Even the guardian of the Sky Demon Emperor City could not see through it. How did Darkness Ling Xiao know? Earth cauldron's sacred body? What's that? Zhao Ritian asked like a curious baby. Hehe, Heaven and Earth Gandue, Water Li and Windjun are the 8 supreme sacred bodies. Those who have these 8 supreme sacred bodies are all women. Moreover, they are all excellent cauldrons. They have accumulated a vast amount of origin yuan yin in their bodies. It's really a supreme treasure for dual cultivation. Darkness Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. He looked at the heavenly incense emperor, as if he was looking at a peerless treasure. Cauldron? Dual cultivation. Zhao Ritian's face turned red. He was still a virgin until now. However, he naturally understood the relationship between a man and a woman. After hearing Darkness Ling Xiao's explanation, how could he not understand what Darkness Ling Xiao was trying to do? Shameless. Zhao Ritian scolded in his heart. Heavenly Incense Emperor, right? I see that you haven't lost your origin yuan yin, and your earth cauldron sacred body is still intact. Why don't you lend it to me? If my cultivation can make a breakthrough, I'll spare your life. Darkness Ling Xiao looked at the Heavenly Incense Emperor and said with a faint smile. You bastard. The Heavenly Incense Emperor's face turned red. She was embarrassed and angry. She did not expect Darkness Ling Xiao to spare her life because of her earth cauldron's sacred body. I'm not a bastard. I'm the Demon Lord. Today you have to agree whether you want to or not. This is not up to you. Darkness Ling Xiao said with a devilish smile. He then walked towards the Heavenly Incense Emperor. You don't come over. The Heavenly Incense Emperor said with a trembling voice. She stretched out her slender hand in an attempt to block the attack, but Darkness Ling Xiao pointed a finger at her from the sky and sealed all of her cultivation. She was already severely injured and was locked down by Darkness Ling Xiao and Zhao Ritian's aura. She was no match for Darkness Ling Xiao. After sealing her cultivation, Darkness Ling Xiao lifted her up. Demon Lord, you can't do this. You can kill her, but why? Why do you have to humiliate her? Zhao Ritian stopped Darkness Ling Xiao and said sternly. Why don't you do it? Darkness Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and was about to throw the Heavenly Incense Emperor to Zhao Ritian. Zhao Ritian was so frightened that he quickly dodged to the side. Aha! The son of the Celestial Emperor is still a virgin? What a strange story. Brother Ritian, since you don't dare to do it, don't blame me for being rude. Dark Lingxiao laughed out loud, looking extremely arrogant and flamboyant. He took a look at Zhao Ritian, then carried the Heaven Incense Emperor, and headed towards the Celestial Demon Mountain. It was easy to guess what he was going to do. Bah! The demon race is indeed a bunch of despicable and shameless people. Zhao Ritian was so angry that he cursed at Darkness Lingxiao. However, there was nothing he could do. Ritian, that's the Sacred Earth tripod physique. You missed it just like that. If you had stayed and cultivated with her, it might have improved your cultivation. You might not have reached the Peerless Emperor realm, but reaching the 8th heaven of the Emperor realm wouldn't be a problem. Second uncle sighed. There was a trace of regret in his voice. So what if it's the Sacred Earth tripod physique? How can I, Zhao Ritian, do such a despicable thing? Second uncle, this demon lord is not a good person. Why don't I find a chance to kill him later? Zhao Ritian snorted coldly. Kill him? Not to mention that you might not be able to kill him. This guy is indeed related to Lingxiao. He might be a demon race expert that Lingxiao has subdued. He doesn't have any enmity against you. I think you should maintain a good relationship with him. After all, the Eternal Emperor Road is filled with danger. Having such a powerful and unscrupulous helper will be beneficial to you. Second uncle said seriously. Since second uncle says so, I'll spare his worthless life first. I'll settle the score with him later. Zhao Ritian snorted coldly. He had to admit that Darkness Lingxiao was indeed powerful. He had just made a bet with Darkness Lingxiao to kill the trial takers. In fact, he had lost. Darkness Lingxiao was simply a killing machine. With a single strike, those trial takers were either killed or injured. No one was his match. Zhao Ritian had seen Darkness Lingxiao's powerful combat strength with his own eyes. Therefore, he was extremely wary of Darkness Lingxiao. At this moment, on the Heaven Demon Mountain behind him, a decadent sound was heard. It was unbearable. Zhao Ritian shuddered and his face turned green. Demon Lord, fuck your grandmother. Zhao Ritian was so angry that he cursed. This Demon Lord is too despicable. Even if you want to do that, can't you run further away? You're so close and you're shouting so loudly. What are you trying to do? Zhao Ritian was so angry that he immediately wanted to leap up and leave the Heaven Demon Mountain. Master, this is bad. The phenomenon here has alarmed many prehistoric demonic beasts. They're all heading towards the Heaven Demon Mountain. We have to hide in the Heaven Demon Mountain. The three-legged golden crow's voice suddenly sounded. There was a trace of seriousness in it. What? Prehistoric demonic beasts? Zhao Ritian trembled. Those that could be called prehistoric demonic beasts were terrifying existences comparable to peerless emperors. That's right. They're prehistoric demonic beasts. And it looks like there are at least 3 of them. There are countless other prehistoric demonic beasts. Master, the Heaven Demon Mountain is filled with Emperor's aura. They should be afraid. Let's hide first. The three-legged golden crow urged. Bastard! Zhao Ritian was so angry that he screamed. However, he still stomped his foot and turned around to fly up the Heaven Demon Mountain. Rumble. Behind him, the earth rumbled and the void shook. A vast and terrifying aura rose as prehistoric demonic beasts appeared one after another. In particular, there were a few prehistoric demonic beasts that were like mountains. Their aura was monstrous and terrifying. One look at them would cause one's heart to palpitate. The phenomenon on the Heaven Demon Mountain made the powerful creatures in the Heaven Demon Abyss uneasy. They all rushed over. Zhao Ritian and the three-legged golden crow flew up the Heaven Demon Mountain and hid in the chaotic clouds. It's best if those prehistoric demonic beasts devour that bastard. Zhao Ritian thought to himself. You're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.